And we're live. Woohoo! Hi, everybody.
Hey.
This is John. And there's Barb. Say hi, Barb.
Hi. Hi, Barb.
So we're trying to make sure that it works without the echo this time. How are we doing so far? So I see Peggy. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Chris. Hi, Paula. Let's see. Geneva's in the chat. And who else we got? Everybody's been waiting. Oh, she just turned on the light. Not that bright.
Hello.
There's Laura. Hi, Laura. Excuse me. So, how does it sound? It sounds good. Paula says hello. So, you didn't meet Paula. Paula got to meet John. Excuse me. She got to meet Stephen and Kaden and Barb when we were in Alabama.
Oh, okay.
So she came over from Georgia.
Well, she'll have to come to the glass show.
Well, we're trying to get her to do that. So,
to do the glass show or just to come to the glass show?
To come to.
Okay.
Yeah, we're working on it, but I need to call her and talk to her about it. So schedule some stuff. So we're worked on a new setup tonight. So Laura says hi, Barb. Hi, John.
Hello.
Hey.
So we're hoping that there's no echo. So we have my laptop set up and we have my phone over at the glass, and that should be better picture-wise on the glass. The laptop isn't as great a picture, but I can control the sound volume better. So that's a win-win for us. So we're hoping that that works pretty well. So as long as you guys can hear us and there's no echo, then it'll be golden. So
I thought that was down in Colorado.
oh, there's that too. You're so funny. So, all right, great. Sound is wonderful. Hi, Sherry. So we're kind of have to wait a little bit for people to get in the room.
Wow.
So, but hi, everybody. I'm Becky from Vintagevikingtreasures. Most of you who are here know that already. Thank you for joining us this evening. This is Mr. John Waugh. He does a lot of antiques and is an author. Also has written a few books on Fenton.
9 to be exact.
Yes. So he has come to visit us for about 2 weeks this summer.
Something like that. I'll be here for a little over. I'll be leaving a week from Friday to head back to Missouri and Illinois and everything.
Yeah, where it's still hot and humid.
Very hot.
So, I mean, I know we're all complaining about how hot it was here last week. Today it was a high of 70 degrees. So it was beautiful here today.
Absolutely wonderful.
So I'm going to try and get the tablet up here with my channel on it so Barb can see comments on her side so she's not flying blind.
I feel like I see nothing.
And then there you go. Can you see that one?
Look at that.
Yay!
I see Becky. Pause.
Oh no,
Now you're moving again.
it's probably because
It was like a Harry Potter picture.
yeah, it does that.
Sometimes you move, and then sometimes you don't move.
Sometimes my tablet likes to just sit and format or whatever. You know.
Buffering.
There you go. Hi, Spirit Junkie. How are you doing tonight? So, since John was here, we figured we'd take advantage of his presence and have him on for my YouTube channel. And we did a couple of hours on John and Stephen's Fabulous Fenton Finds Facebook page.
What? How about the wonderful world of Fenton?
Oh, sorry. I was trying to make all the words rhyme.
Well, it's John and Stephen's Wonderful World of Fenton.
Wonderful world of Fenton. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Wonderful.
So we did a couple hours with that. We had a quick break. They went and grabbed something to eat. I had a quick snack. And we're back here with you guys on my channel. So Barb is going to pull us a few. She's always the glass puller. That seems to be her infinite job.
That's a lot in life.
Right? So, hi, Jeannie. How are you doing tonight? And so, I mean, we'll put things up for sale. If you guys are interested, awesome. But I think a lot of this is a few pieces that you're going to see that you're just not going to see anywhere else. Some of it will be going to the NFGS convention with us. That is at the end of July, which stands for the National Fenton Glass Society.
Yes.
And that will be followed up by the FAGCA, which is
Glass Collectors of America.
There we go. So those are the two national Fenton organizations that will be having
conventions out at Parkersburg and Williamstown, West Virginia.
Williamsburg and
Williamstown
and Vienna.
And Vienna. Well,
Yeah.
Vienna is a suburb of
True. You cross the street and it's a different city.
Right, yeah.
Very correct. Oh, Geneva said it was 95 up in Wisconsin today.
Ooh,
Yeah. I mean, I know it's been pretty cool up in, I think, Washington and Maine. We're having some pretty cool weather this week. So we're going to have it for a little bit, hopefully get some rain out of it. And then it's supposed to get warmer again.
dang.
I know. And then we'll just send it back with you to Illinois.
We don't need it.
So,
We just need rain.
and Paula said it was hot there too in Georgia.
Well, I can imagine down in Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know. We've talked to Steven today, but I don't think we asked him how the weather was.
Oh, he just hibernates in the air conditioning.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say he's been working with his dad in the air conditioning business. So I'm guessing.
Oh,
it's not
that's
much
true.
there.
Sorry. That's true. I did read that he had to shut up his shop one of the other days because he had to go help him on some calls. So that was kind of a bummer. So, all right, we have 13 people in the room. Let's go ahead and start some interesting pieces here. So what we have up is, oh, I got to point the other way. It's over there on the camera.
That's so crazy.
It's the funniest thing ever. So,
It's all, you know what, backwards whenever you try
it
it.
is very backwards. It's kind of funny. So,
Whenever I was in broadcasting years and years ago, they were just coming up with the computer generated weather forecasting screens, and the instructor was trying to teach us to do that. He was so bad messed up. He had us so bad messed up. We didn't know what way
You
we
just
were.
like point somewhere randomly.
Yeah.
yeah, Spirit Junkie. It's a pretty cool vase. So, do you want to grab down the letters just because?
Oh yeah.
Well, we won't confuse anyone, first of all. And John's like, hey, it looks like I need a phone book. I said, because I'm closer to the screen. It makes me look taller. So, why don't you go ahead and let us know what this piece is
Okay,
and who
this
made
is
it?
this is made by Fenton, but it was designed and carved sand carved as cameo glass by Kelsey Murphy and Robert Beauchamp. They started the association with Fenton in 2006, 2007. I was kind of part of that because a friend of mine that I was with, me, was in charge of procuring the people for the NFGS seminars for the National Fenton Society seminars. And we had a friend that knew Kelsey real well. He brought her over and she did a seminar. George Fenton fell in love with her work. She went over to the tent show, which was going on at that same time. She sold several pieces. She said, I think I can work with these. And they just got together and they decided to create the cameo glass line. There was proved to be very popular. It was very expensive, but it was very popular there up until time Fenton closed.
So this is the overlay. So it's emerald and
Yeah, there's two layers. It's milk glass on the outside, emerald green on the inside. And Kelsey was a very skilled artist. She had a remarkable eye. And this one is designed that the trees are actually, the trunks of the trees are actually women.
Yeah, so if you want to try and hold that up, same spot in the camera that we had earlier. And you can see that they're like wooden. What did you call them earlier?
Dryads.
Dryads. Yeah, I want to call them wood
Tree
nymphs.
nymphs.
Tree nymphs.
Wood nymphs.
They're pretty awesome. And yeah, that's cool, Geneva.
I love that on that one side. Turn it back the other way. She's got the mushrooms down there.
Yeah,
I think that is so cool. The way
Yeah.
The things that little things that she would put into all her work, designs. Actually, this one was actually carved by Robert Beauchamp. I think it was a sample. It was never ever put in production.
And so what is that one signed on the bottom? What do we have that? There, you've been the right side up. Good job.
How good is that?
It's made in
Heaven, which was Kelsey and Beauchamp's company name there. And then, like I said, they worked in conjunction with Fenton. I think Robert Beauchamp actually designed this one and probably cut it himself.
Because his signature is on there, Kelsey's is not.
Yeah.
And then their inventory number is that number that's clear up at the top.
okay.
But the Kelsey designed a
Oodles.
multitude of different designs for Fenton, and then Chris Carpenter that worked at Fenton ended up being the prime artist that did the actual work.
This space would start for offers at $1,750.
I'm just gonna try and pull it off. We're just gonna have their name on there instead of my normal Vintagevikingtreasures email. So you didn't hear Barb, this is a piece that we would start at the show for $1,750 because multiple reasons. Because they're so hard to make, they're in such limited quantities, and
Probably the way this one looked, it was probably one of a kind. It was a sample that they did not go with because they would say, make us something of this order, and they'd come up with 5 or 6 designs, and then they would decide that, oh, the one that they liked the best, what one they would put in the line. And the way this looked to be marked and everything, I would say that was probably a sample piece.
okay, that's cool. Sorry, Geneva. She's like, holy, I just choked. It is. I mean, what's amazing is that there's some really cool individual pieces of Fenton that you're really not going to see very often. And going to the national conventions, you're going to see some amazing
Even if you're not a member, they do
all
have the
together.
table displays
Mhm.
open. The glass idea is open to non-members. The auction on Sunday is open to non-members. Like I said, even and then they have room trading in the
Yeah.
hotel room,
So
which
what
is open to non-members.
Isn't open to non.
The sessions, the speaker sessions, and like the dinners. Yeah.
One interesting deal this year, and you're going to miss out on it, Barb. Dean Six is going to be back.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Mm.
He-
Well, dang it.
Who's
What?
piece? This again? What's the guy's name?
Dean
again?
Six is
No.
what?
This piece,
Robert Baumkamp.
Robert Baumkamp, and the other person that worked with him was Kelsey Murphy.
Yeah, Kelsey
Doing
Murphy
these
was more or less the backbone of the Made in Heaven company. They had worked with Pilgrim Glass for a long time before Pilgrim closed, and they was kind of floundering around for several years after Pilgrim closed before they went with Fenton.
Yeah. So was this a Fenton vase or was?
It is a Fenton
Yeah.
shape. Yeah, this is a Fenton shape. This was a
Alright.
shape that they
Oh, yeah,
originally
yeah.
introduced in the 1940s.
1940s. Okay. See, you're going to learn all sorts of interesting stuff tonight, and I won't be able to repeat it again. So you better listen and rewatch the
But
replay.
what I
On
was
this
going
one.
to say, Dean Six is going to be back.
Yes.
I had to bow out last year for speaking because of illness, but he is the vice president and actually in charge of all production in Blinko Glass.
And did he do some books for Blinko as well?
He has done books on Blinko, on Crackle Glass, on Viking Glass, just a little bit of everything. He's very interesting, very energetic to listen to on his talks, very energetic, very happy, fun to be with.
9 inches?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting about the national conventions is you definitely get exposure and be able to, walk up and talk to people. That
Because
you never
we're not monsters, we're human. We like to talk about glass.
Yeah, well, everybody loves glass there, so it's a common thing. And like our community here on YouTube, where everybody likes vintage and all that stuff, it's the same thing with glass.
I will
at
be
those
doing
conventions.
the table display seminar with Ann Blackmore, Ann and Max Blackmore. I think Max and George Fenton and Tim Eccles will be doing the glass ID on that
of
Saturday
the Fenton
night.
Fentons.
What's that?
Of the Fenton Fentons.
Yeah, of the Fenton Fentons.
Yeah.
George, it used to be on QVC.
Yes.
He was president of the Fenton Company.
Okay. You want to find us another piece? Sure. Okay. Hey, Paula, are you available just to throw in numbers for me? Because I might be able to do it because I'm on the tablet, but I might be able to do it even better.
This one's a very neat piece. Are you ready to start talking about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Start talking.
I'm looking over this way. Actually, the piece is over to this side.
I know it's really funny, isn't it?
So if you see me looking over there, it's that
and we look
reason.
like we're looking over there. We need to be like, oh, here, I'll fix this. You ready for this?
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah,
That
we can
helps.
look like
That
we're looking
helps.
at the
Yeah,
piece. How's
that
that?
helps.
Okay, there we go.
So, but like I said, you see there,
Okay, Miss
but
Paula,
this
that'd be awesome.
piece was made in the 1920s. It was part of what they call the jade line, and jade wasn't naturally always green. It was like the Japanese term or the Oriental term they referred to as jade. It could be light purple, it could be blue, it could be the red like this. This was what they called Mandarin red, and the pattern is called big cookies.
So this piece would start at 120,
150.
150. Excuse me, I read the sign.
Very beautiful piece. Has wonderful color. Absolutely wonderful color.
So when they did this big cookie line, they made this, and they had several different designs.
They had two,
right?
They had two designs. Was two shapes. Was the basket, and then they brought the piece straight up. Still had the knobs on it for the wicker handle, and put a lid on it and make a macaroon or a cookie jar.
All right, Angela, thanks for popping in.
And they were inspired to do that because they had macaroons or
Yeah. And there is another smaller one that it actually, just about all the colors, it's harder to find in the big cookies. It's what's called the flower band.
So mostly we just have the baskets and the
Yeah,
cookie jars.
the two on this pattern. There was the two shapes: the basket and the macaroon or the cookie jar.
How many of these do you think there were made, or were there limits on this line?
No, there was no limits. They just made. Over the years, there probably was thousands of them out there.
As many as they could.
Yeah, many as they could pop out in a day's time.
So yeah, Barb's saying 1930. So they were just mass producing as much as they could. That's what they were selling at the time.
Yeah.
So they're making money. They're not making glass. They're not making money.
Up until the 1940s, Fenton went with kind of the decorated deal and what would sell at that time. Northwood did a line like this in the jade colors too, and so did Cambridge.
Yeah.
And later on, this kind of fell out of favor with the collectors and the glass buying public, so they went to more the depression glass.
Oh, Vanna, can
and
you
they had different variations of it. Before that, it was Carnival glass. And finally, in the 1940s, they kind of hit the niche where they went with the opalescent glass and the more Victorian throwback of glass.
And these are big. If you haven't seen a cookies basket or cookie jar in person,
I bet you that is a good 12 inches across, if not even longer than that.
oh, let's measure it, shall we? I think we
No,
might not
please
have
note
12.
the man speaks.
9
9 1/2.
Okay, my eyes is always big at my stomach.
Yep. And no, I think you could still find these out in the wild. I think we.
Oh yeah,
do.
they pop up every once in a while. You got to be observant. They also made this shape in the jade green or like the jadeite, the lilac. If you're ever lucky enough to find it, the purple. They did it in a deep blue they called periwinkle blue. They did it in a milk glass.
The white, yeah.
Yeah, and I can't
They
think
did
what
it in ebony too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did it in ebony. Yes.
But
Ruby and cobalt.
Yeah, they did
Ruby?
ruby and cobalt.
Cobalt?
Just a
What about
transparent
the-
ruby and transparent cobalt.
Mongolian green.
What's that?
I have not seen it in Mongolian green.
It is.
I'm thinking that I have seen it in Mongolian green, which is kind of a green, deep green slag. It's like the malachite green that you see in glass now.
I mean, yes. Obviously, certain regions of the country are easier to find.
Oh, yeah.
glass in.
So it's not so much anymore, but I used to go out to Ohio and West Virginia because I was doing like 2 shows a month and they was glass nuts. This was during the 90s. And I could go out there and come back with a carload of glass, just be out there for 4 or 5 days and come back car just completely filled.
Honestly, east of us in Colorado, there's more glass than in Colorado, period. Yeah. So, Geneva, I know somebody who writes a few books. If you need some books, you let me know. You have books in stock, John?
I have books in stock right now.
Okay. I know I have a couple here, like I could show you. Let's see. What do I got right here? I got this one, which is one of the compendiums.
This covered 1985 to 2000 time period.
So that's one of them. He's got 3 compendiums. So there's the blue, the red, and the green.
Right.
And they're different years. You have the milk glass book.
Yeah.
The big book of Fenton.
Right. That was the very first.
I got 5 of them off the top of my head. Rare.
The rarities.
Rarities. Fenton, what did you say? A to Z. Do you have a QVC one?
No, I didn't do QVC one. I did 2 books on Fenton special orders for the
orders.
items that they did for
So
other
2
individual.
special orders.
Yes.
Okay, so that's all 9 of them there. So, yeah, if you're interested in some of John's books, you can just let me know. And
or you can also find me on Facebook. I am on Facebook. Just punch up John Walk. It should on the profile page. It should say Mulberry Grove, Illinois.
Yep.
Or
I'll
you
pass on messages to him.
Or you can go to my shop page, which is Walk Memory Lane. Run that together all as one word.
You don't have your books on Etsy?
No, I have never tried to or anything there. I have 3 shops or 4 shops on Etsy actually.
Oh yeah, he dabbles in everything.
I have just about went completely online. I don't do that many shows anymore. I do several glass shows. I'll be doing the Astoria Society show in Nashville, Tennessee, 3rd weekend of July.
Right before
the week right before convention.
Okay.
I'm home from that one for 2 days. I leave to go out to convention. I'm home from convention for 2 days. And I leave to go out shopping on the 127 sale.
You wonder why we're never home.
That's the one we were invited to do, and we can't.
Which one, the Cambridge?
No, the Foster.
Oh, Foster. I just said it.
That would be a fun
before.
one to do. I've done it before a long time ago.
How did I meet John? I met John at convention.
Sleepy.
Yeah.
Now listen, the first time I met John, no disrespect whatsoever. I didn't know that there was a John. I didn't know that I should know who John was. And we were walking around doing room shopping at convention the first year Mom and I went in 2018. And you go from room to room to room in the hotel. If your room is open, it's available for people to come in and shop your glass. And I walked in, and there's John, almost asleep, laying on top of the
I
covers.
had been sicker than a dog. I don't know what. I had picked up some sort of a virus or something.
And I was like,
Managed to get the glass unpacked, and then I laid down. I'm
and
sorry.
I was like, Mom, there's a guy sleeping in his room over there. And then later, I found out that he was the John Walk of the author of the books of the Fenton. So I was like, oh, well, that was interesting. So then I think
Well, the next time I ran
in
into
19, when we went to Gala,
2019. That's been in September at Kansas
Yep.
City. We ended up, Barbara had been to my room several times, and we had talked a little bit, but we ended up that first
On the
afternoon
same
staying
table
together
together.
at the luncheon.
Yep, Stephen and I and Barb and John and Gail and a couple other
Well, what was so
crazy
funny
Gala
on that?
people.
What was so funny on that one? Randy and Debbie Colby had done books for years, and we had the same publisher. We're sitting at the table. I had known Randy and Debbie
Mhm.
for a long time. Stephen, that's on here sometimes with Becky, had never met Randy and Debbie.
Well, I'd met them before, but I didn't know that they were authors and,
Yeah.
and big time dealers.
But anyway,
So I know them pretty well.
Stephen didn't know him from Adam. And
Yeah.
he sat down next to Debbie, and I sat down on the other side of Stephen. He looked over at Debbie. He said, "This is John Walk. He wrote a lot of the books on Fenton." And she said, "Hi, I'm Debbie Cole. We wrote the other books on Fenton."
Yeah. And from there on out, we were the rowdy table at Gala. Yeah. So yeah. I think I've talked about how Barb and I met. We met here in Colorado at local glass clubs. We've known of each other and around each other for what, closer to 5-6 years. And then once my kids got out of high school, we started selling together. So yes. Is this the Cologne bottle? You want to describe this one? And somebody's saying they have it, but they have
Okay.
the stopper in there.
Right, yeah. That is another piece of Fenton. It was decorated. It was sold by Fenton to Abel Wassenberg Company in the 1940s, and they decorated it for the Charlton line. And the usual part about this one, most of them that Fenton always made was the melon rib. This one they called out the blown out melon because they reworked the mold and took out the ribs. They did that shape exclusively for Charlton.
Okay. And Charlton is a company that did.
Well, Abel Wassenberg was the company.
Okay.
Abel Wassenberg was the company, and they had their decorative line in the 1930s. They called the Charlton line, and it always had big, elaborate, flashy flowers on it. And the early 1940s, they couldn't get glass from Europe, which they had been getting from Czechoslovakia and Germany and different places. So they had to turn to American manufacturers like Fenton, Westmoreland, Duncan Miller, Cambridge,
Consolidated.
just whoever they could get.
We said Cambridge, right?
Get glass. Fenton and Cambridge was probably the most prevalent, I would say,
And so,
there. And they and I think on a lot of the designs they modified them and kind of revamped them to kind of go along with the whatever shape of glass they was doing it on. There, because I know a lot of the Charlton line from over in Europe, I never did ever see like decoration on the U.S. glass.
I have a question. Is this one supposed to be a Cologne, or is
Yes,
it
is a Cologne.
Okay, so it is missing.
I think. Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Cologne because it's
The little secret you can always tell is where if it's Cologne, where you stick the stopper into the hole, it will be ground in there to accept the stopper. If it's one of these Fenton Colognes on any of those Fenton clones that was the melon shape. If it's smooth, if it was the short one, it was the candlestick, and if it's the tall one like this, it was the bud, considered the bud base.
Okay.
But that was the little secret.
And then the price point reflects because it's hard to find in this
Very hard to
design.
find, and it was it had the decoration on it, and that any of the Charlton items that decorated Charlton items is very desirable at this time.
Find us some more, Barb.
Okay.
So we've been doing a lot of Charlton lately because it's been a very popular seller on Facebook for us and in the Fenton groups. So hey, if you guys have any questions in the chat, put them out there. If you have any requests for what you would like to see, just let us know as well. Geneva's asking, what about it? Well, if it has a stopper, it's supposed to be a cologne. This one's just missing the stopper altogether.
You can find new replacement stuff.
Yeah,
But they did the clear ones for that?
the clear melon stoppers would be the ones that would go in that.
Yeah. Okay. What's next up?
Okay, we've got a mulberry overlay bowl. Mulberry overlay was originally done in 42. They had trouble with the color, keeping the color consistent from where it was shaded at the edges or at the top down from cranberry down to the light blue. They discontinued it after 6 months in 42, and then in the late 80s, they decided to do it again.
Yeah.
And this piece is from the late 80s. I think the original was ruby overlay, and they used the Salem blue to get the blue color, and then they went with twilight blue later on.
And what is the pattern? This is the
That is the Jacqueline pattern. That is the
you
Jacqueline
kind of see
pattern.
like the artichoke kind of looking pattern on that glass. So you can see it goes that.
Yeah, the bowl
blue
doesn't
at the
show it
bottom.
off as well as some of the bases and everything in Jacqueline.
So this is similar to cranberry because it's a ruby.
Yeah. Well, ruby overlay. What
But it's
cranberry is ruby overlay that has bone ash added into it, and they put it in an optic mold, and the bone ash goes out to the edge of the mold, and
Cranberry opalescent.
it becomes cranberry opalescent. But what they did, they took ruby overlay and then, which is ruby over clear glass, and cased it again with the blue glass.
Okay, one more time. If once is good, twice is better, right?
And in a way, I would love to
Can you
see
pull it
somebody
closer,
start,
please?
if it would be possible, if all the layers was even,
Ash.
see somebody start sand carving on that.
You know, John's got this accent from Illinois. You know. You know. It's kind of funny. There's occasionally we look at John and go, I'm sorry, what was that?
Bone ash? What?
And naturally, the way I say it, it don't.
Yeah.
Well, I got a funny
That
story
doesn't
on
come
that
out
because
right.
I do know I have a Southern accent.
No.
And one of the ladies that helped me on the Fenton books, she was from Franklin, Tennessee, and she had the mother of all Southern accents. And whenever I was doing the rarities book, I sent her the list of items that was in the Fenton's regular line from 1940 to 1970 that I considered rare, and her and another lady was going through them, trying to confirm it or whether they thought it was or not. And whenever I sent her the deal, I accidentally slipped up and sent her a lot of the items that was on my list from the 1970s and 1980s. And Linda was reading them all off to the other lady that was on the phone, and she said, and now it comes to frosted asters. And Audrey said, frosted what?
If you have your earphones in, you might want to reconsider that while John is speaking. And I'm sorry I didn't give you that disclaimer earlier.
Turn them down.
Yeah, just turn them away.
And so that between the three of us, that became a running joke all the time. I'd be talking to one of them. I said, if that don't frost your asters, nothing will.
There you go. All right, what's next?
Okay.
What is your holy grail item that you've never found?
I have found a couple of them. I never have been able to open. And this is so funny because I was looking at this shape there earlier. We had it on Facebook, and it is the exact shape there. But they did a line of canisters in the 50s that was in the. It was they was opalescent, and then they were satinized, and the pattern was diamond optic. And they said they did a lime green opalescent diamond off the canister. That would be have to be my holy grail. That if I could ever find that, and there was 2 sizes of them.
Okay.
There, that would have to be my holy grail.
Yeah.
I would probably be doing the happy dance up and down the street in the store, up and down the streets, and everything like.
That's a woohoo item,
Yeah.
huh?
It'd be like, oh my god, oh my god.
Right. Yeah. And that's when you grab the item, pay for it as fast as you can, and just leave the store.
And you spin your tires going out the
I know. I feel like you just got away with something. Yeah. All right.
Don't forget.
Okay, this piece is another Kelsey Murphy Robert Beaucamp piece that they did for Fenton. What was the writing on the bottom? I forget from.
Let me double check.
Because I can't remember off the top of my head.
Wings of Glory.
Rings of Glory.
Wings of Glory.
Wings of Glory.
And it's
Kelsey, Kelsey.
it's a
Kelsey and Beaucamp.
Yep. It's number 1 of 50.
Number 1 of 50.
Which is very unusual to find any like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 probably, because most of them would always go back into the Fenton Museum, the Fenton factory warehouse, or one of the members of the Fenton family. You, like I said, on any of those real limited edition stuff, there, if you got under 5, it was very unusual for that to ever happen.
And the start price on this one?
2,000.
And that one is because, I mean, even more so because it's number 1.
Yeah. It's
of the
one that you're
series.
just not going to see out and about.
Mhm.
These cameo pieces out there, unless you go to a shop that specializes in Fenton, you're not going to see out at a regular antique mall or an antique show unless you got somebody that really specializes in Fenton. And most of them will take them to maybe a high-end antique show, but most of them won't take them to like a regular flea market or a little antique market. Or
No, because it's not worth
risking
the breakage on
something to happen to them.
And simply put, when you do see them out, it's usually the ones they made, say 750 of, 900.
Yes, a higher
Not
quantity.
50.
Mhm.
Because I had that Keenan Valley one that was 1 of 25.
Mhm. Yeah. I might have a fairy lamp in the car, but it's not. I don't know if
I've
we
got
have
one right here.
You found one for us, huh? All right. Well, let's go from the super duper crazy awesome almost one of a kind piece in our showroom to lime
sherbet
sherbet satin.
Everybody wants to call it lime green.
They do want to call it lime green. It
They
is
want
different.
to-
Sure. We'll put you to work, sir. Whoa, whoa! You almost caught a cord. So when was this color made?
This was done about 1970 up to right around 78, 79.
Okay.
This is the Owl Fairy Light. And originally, whenever it came out, it wasn't a fairy light. It was kind of a novelty piece they called the Decision Maker. And it was this part was on a little kind of like a little pedestal in the middle, and you could spin it around and said, should I do this? Should I do that? And then it would have no, yes, whatever there. Kind of like a
Magic 8 Ball.
Yeah, Magic 8 Ball.
The Decision Maker, isn't that what they call it?
Yeah, and it didn't sell hardly at all for Fenton. And so they revamped the mold and made a fairy light out of it.
Now, this one would start normally around 75 for us at a show, but if you want to show it, it's got a couple chips on the inside of the shape.
And most of the times they will on the tabs that holds it, the fairy top down to the bottom.
Like
See, and you think you're it's like a fisheye lens on this right now, and it's even farther away. So you need to
way up?
Yeah.
See, and I can't see it from here.
I know. So you see those little shiny parts at the bottom? That's where the
Right
chips
here.
are. Yeah. But that's from putting it on and off so
Yeah.
many times and stuff. So.
One thing you have to remember is these were not made as collector's items. This was, hey, this is a cute candle holder. We're going to go.
Yeah, these were production pieces. Fenton later on, it was about the 1970s, they got to making different pieces that was more for collectors and that was looking for quality limited edition items. But up until that time, it was made for regular practical use. And they was not a tableware company. They was a decorator company that would make and concentrated more on vases and baskets and bowls to use go along with decorations and decor there in a home. They did do some tableware, but like I said, predominantly it was accessory glass type pieces that they made.
Question back on the other one. Laura, I see you at 50. Thank you very much. Would some of those sand carved pieces, those higher end pieces, be counterfeited, for lack of a better, counterfeited or copied, like say by China?
Not
the high end ones.
Not too much, not the high, because so much detail goes into work. You could almost look at a piece if it was copied and tell that it didn't have the detail. Yeah.
So there is higher end French stuff in the 1800s that you do see copied a lot, but it's, if you know what the old stuff looks like, it's pretty obvious.
No, what we see generally copied is like the little sitting bears.
Yeah.
I've seen the bear copied and I've seen the cat copied.
Yeah.
And though I don't know if it's because it's just easier and they could mass produce it because it's smaller. I don't know. But we've seen copies of those things.
One of the things I always figured that they wouldn't ever, the cameo glass would be one thing that they wouldn't ever really copy, was because there's so much production going into the glass itself. It's time consuming to get the 3, 4, 5, 6, however many layers. They have went up to 13 layers on the pieces of cameo glass. And then the other deal, it is so time consuming to do the carving on it there, and it is very difficult to do.
Well, they do like that leaf one that came out for Telefloral in the oranges and browns. That looks like it's
the acorn one.
Yeah, it looks like sand carving, but it's not.
Yeah.
So
Fenton did that even before they did the sand carving with the Avon base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're asking, do you think that the satin like this chips easier, or is it just because of where the pieces are that chip?
Most of the satin, it was where it had gotten used, and they had gotten used with the top going up and down on
I think you notice it more because then it looks shiny. And most of the other glass, I mean, when it is a shiny finish, you're not seeing it as easily. So, and yes, Paula, I see Laura in at 50. So if anybody else is in on that one, we can probably count that one down if you don't mind, Paula. Then another question was, how do you clean the matte stuff? I just use a magic eraser on it. If it doesn't have any painting on it or anything.
I would use Comet on it because the color is inside the glass. It ain't gonna hurt.
Yeah, as long as it's not painted, it shouldn't take anything off. Yeah. So.
And even the painting, that once a piece of Fenton is painted, it is fired into the glass, it runs through the layer and actually fired in. They use a paint that will melt into the glass whenever it's fired. And unless you really use something really abrasive and really
scrub.
Yeah, you don't want to use something abrasive.
Yeah, the paint's going to come off there. And I know they had trouble developing that because some of the early violets and snow, you can see where it has rubbed off.
Do you mind handing that to me? What you got next for us, Miss Barb?
We're gonna do a little choice lot.
Okay, this will be a choice lot. Starts at 45, please, Paula, and then John will tell us about them as we put them up.
Okay, we've got the. I guess that one is aquamarine. I actually think that was a QVC piece. There they go, the angel.
You're. It's much narrower, but you're good.
Okay.
It's weird with the camera on this is so fisheye.
That one is I don't know what color they call that off the top of my head there.
It's a pretty blue color. It almost looks like Colonial Blue. But
yeah, that's what I was thinking of at first. It was Colonial Blue Rabbit. I'm going to say, wait a minute, they didn't make the rabbit.
See, we even stump the author occasionally. It's kind of funny because they made so many different colors and named them so many different creative names. And some of them are so similar, it's hard to tell them apart unless you have them right next to each other.
We've got Angel and Opal Satin. Guardian Angel. I think that was another QVC. And a lot of people, if you don't know what a QVC Fenton item is, Fenton had a contract with QVC starting back in the 1990s, and it ran up till about 2007, where they would make items to sell on QVC see, Bill Fenton, Don Fenton would come on their special guest before they both passed away, and later on George Fenton would be the special guest to describe and talk about the items while they were selling them.
Like QVC was before we started doing all these kind of
Yeah,
live sales.
and actually that was probably QVC's most highest rated show and best sellers of the show, of all the shows.
So, quantity wise, same limited. These aren't limited very much.
No,
in the
they
quantities.
QVC they did them one or two ways. There would be limited editions, like 1 of 500 or something like that, and then there would just be an item, maybe like one of these angels that would be just on there for that time only, and a 5 or 10 minute span where you could order it during that time.
Mm-hmm. It's funny that all these are kind of qualified in that era.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not seeing. I mean, lag. Unless there's some lag that I'm missing on, I have not seen anything move in the chat. So we can switch to something else.
Okay.
Oh, Spirit Junkie. See, there's that lag we love.
We love our leg.
45. It's always just enough for Barb to move all the glass
I'm like, oh.
to put it all back up again.
And then Becky says, no.
Mm-hmm. So, which one of your books is your favorite one, or which one did you enjoy researching the most?
Oh, the rarities had to be because I kept on finding, and even after the egg had come out, I had jobs and other stuff that I had either bought or got pictures of that should be in another rarities. But that had to be my favorite one.
Do you have enough to do another book, or
oh, yeah.
Are you ever thinking of doing another book?
One of these days, if life and everything kind of calms down, it will probably happen.
Calms down. You probably should have done it a couple years ago when it was shut down and you couldn't do anything else. So,
what do you mean I couldn't do anything else? During COVID, I came out here to shop.
So we can.
I was kind of like a friend of mine.
Hi, Jody.
During COVID, we didn't have anything else to do, and nothing was open, so we just went driving one day out in the country, and there was a little antique shop right out in a little town. And first thing I knew, she said, stop, and I stopped. First thing I knew, she was out of the car and had her face up and her hands up against the window, breathing in on the window, looking like, let me in, let me in, let me in.
We were all so deprived when everything was shut, so boy, we were so happy to have it back open again. So, all right. Hi, Jody. How are you doing tonight? And we got going once and going twice. And Barb left us.
What's that?
The Barb left us.
I know. That's a heck of a thing.
Last call. So, oh, good. I'm glad you're doing well. Let us know what your choice is, please, Spirit Junkie. Do I have your name written down? Do I have you on my cheat sheet? I don't. All three. All right. Clean sweep. Sounds good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Now we'll throw this up here. We don't need no stinking Barb. We'll need her in a minute.
Let me know if I'm getting them centered.
Oh, that looks pretty good. All right, this should be a pair, correct? Are these the candle holder ones?
These are candle holders. Aqua Crest, which was made. They started making Aqua Crest and colored. They started making the Silver Crest, which was a clear milk glass with a clear crest, 1941. But then they started making the Aqua Crest and Gold Crest in 42. And they did all sorts of shapes and everything. And this was actually an older mold. This was.
What would this start at, Barb? Sorry.
This was a mold that you could find some of the jade pieces there from the 1920s in there. And this was the Cornucopia Candlesticks.
Cornucopia Candlesticks with the JIP?
Yeah.
Flip on the crimp?
Flip on the crimp?
Yeah.
Starting at 75.
75. Oh, that would be the start on these.
Oh,
and I'm going to go look. Light. Oh, okay. Find the fairy light. Light. No spiritual. Again. Oh, okay. Ooh.
Watch out.
There you go. Did you say? If I have it, Spirit Junkie, I should be able to find it again. Not a problem. So, and then ask your question. Yeah, Jody, if you have any questions, just throw them out there. John's here asking questions, telling us all about what we're putting up. He'll give you more information than I can ever spew. We push a button and it just comes right out of him. It's amazing.
More than you ever wanted.
What color crest is the rarest in general? Not for a specific, say, shape of glass.
I know, yeah, I know what she's getting
Okay.
at. I'm trying to think. It's going to be apple blossom.
Flame.
Oh,
So
Spirit
flame
DK,
crest
I
is
don't have
number
your
2.
first name written down.
What's that?
You think Blue Crest is going to come?
No, blue crest is probably harder to find, but flame crest would be more desirable.
But they asked what was the rarest.
Yeah.
So blue crest is the rarest? Is that more like a cobalt kind of color?
No, it is more like the aqua crest, except they made it with the colonial blue, like that rabbit we had on, and it's a whole lot deeper blue.
So if we put the rabbit next to
Yeah,
that, will it kind of tell us the color? You got to hold it up next to the crest for them to see it, really. So it's a darker blue like that, which is just a shade different.
Yeah.
Okay, here, we'll show you one with it. Are these from the 50s, did you say?
These are from the 42 to 46. This is colonial blue.
So there's the difference in the color.
This is Colonial Blue, this candle bowl. So that's what the crest is on Blue Crest.
It's really a striking, pretty blue.
Yes.
But like I said, I would say apple blossom or flame crest would probably be just as rare. They did some other special colors of crest over the years, but they was never actually put into the line.
Hi, Miss Pam. How are you doing tonight?
Ebony Crest.
Ebony crest is
Ebony crest
beautiful.
is very rare. But that would be black glass on milk glass. Probably the rarest thing I've ever seen in a crest item. And Frank Fenton, he actually handed it back to the owner very quick during Glass ID, but it was a Balsa Murano basket that one of the workers had made with a flame crest handle and crest.
Wow.
And he said, be very careful with this because these two types of glass is not compatible to each other. He said that crest could pop off at any time.
So,
And like I said, that was the first time I ever saw him handle a piece of glass like a hot ember and it right back.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not going to be the one that breaks.
Yeah.
okay, quick, I have a question. So, how many different sizes of Pern bowls did they make?
Oh, shoot.
Because somebody saying that,
Inline or
well,
Yeah, inline.
she found
They would have been all been inline
a
because
bowl,
you got your little,
not LG, right?
but it didn't find that the horns weren't the right size for the bowl.
because you've got your little petite econ that the hobnail and hobnail that is actually the bonbon that the little 3.5 base sets in, and then you go all the way up to the great big ones.
I was just thinking about the 3-corner ferns too. So
Yeah, I mean, there's single Pern,
Yeah, you got single
Or
Pern,
triple.
several different styles
Is there-
of single
there's that
Pern.
kind of medium
4 and
size.
5.
I'm going to say probably altogether
All
off the
sorts
top
of
of my head between 10 and 15
shapes
different
and
shapes of
combinations.
Pern.
Okay, so
You
yeah.
got the splash bottoms.
If any of you have my book on milk glass, that is a good one. Just for shapes, that is a good one to refer to for the e-perns because that all the different shapes of e-perns is pictured in that book.
Okay.
Especially between hobnail and silver crest.
So can you give us a quick, we're doing Fenton 101 again. What does crest mean? Is it the 2 different colors of glass?
It would be, it don't not necessarily always have to be milk glass, but it would be a different color of crest because this is hand applied whenever it's made.
So it's a different color on the rim of the glass.
Yeah, on the edge of the glass.
And then they've crimped it.
Yeah.
Like they crimp lots of different things that don't have
They don't have to
different.
Yeah.
So here you have
Well, a good example of why they crimp this stuff would be the piece of glass was actually on the punny rod where most
They
of the
can't
blown
see
glass
They can't see you.
Well,
You're behind
I'm sorry.
everything.
turn it around.
Okay,
Most of the
there we
blown
go.
glass, whenever it was made in Europe, was blown like this, and this
Yes.
would be the punny rod.
Mhm,
Fenton goes after a glass like this, they would break it off,
mhm,
shape it like however they wanted, like this is the hat shape,
mhm.
and then they would put it in the crimping machine and crimp it, and that was to hide the punny
The edge of
rod.
the glass.
Yeah,
So then this is called a silver crest because it's the clear glass that's been applied.
and then
To the other
actually
color.
it was called peach crest.
Well, that's a whole nother story because of the color of the inside. Now, Fenton honestly didn't ever consistently, in my opinion, name their glass because they did it in several different ways. Because there's sometimes it's the name of the color that's applied, and sometimes it's the name of the glass inside that they made their name.
Like this is silver crest.
It's generally
going to get confused.
It's generally the crest color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is silver crest. It's clear glass on it. That's the crest. And originally they had crystal crest that they started making in 41 for a short time, which was another extra white rim that would have been on top of the crystal.
All right, so why don't we switch that out and we can show this up there, and we'll just throw up a price so that people can just get all the information that we're throwing at.
Okay, this is crystal.
This one up in front of the. Oh.
And as you can see, it's got showing. Yeah, it's showing up.
So why don't you get the stand so you can stand up there?
But it's got another extra crest on the edge of the clear crest.
So it's got 2 layers of glass on the edge. So
and I have even saw
white to clear to the white.
I have even saw where they done a triple crest.
That's on the point.
That's in your rarities book.
Yeah.
So what would this bowl be a starting price at with the crystal crest?
125.
125 would be a start on this because the crystal crest was harder to make.
They didn't make it very long.
And they didn't make it very long. Did they always do it on the white though?
Yeah, they always did it on the white. I think there's a few pieces that is known that is on the peach crest with the pink inside.
Okay. All right.
But very few pieces. They would start in on a certain treatment and they would play with it a lot.
Yeah, because they, like they said, they have lunchbox pieces where things would come out of the factory and it was one of a kind because they're messing with all the different combinations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna catch up on questions. Yes, and everybody thumbs up. That's awesome. Thank you. Quick question on the Pern horns. Would it be dumb luck if she found a bowl only on eBay that would fit the horns?
No, it wouldn't be dumb luck. I always figured that the bowls would be harder to find than the horns would be for years and years. And very advanced collector we was talking one time, he always said that the bowls are harder to find than the horns because the bowls was bigger and more apt to get broke.
Yeah. Didn't they have pretty much standard sizes then? Could you measure a horn or measure a bowl to know which size you'd need for it?
If you really got into if you study the shapes, the types of horns and sizes of horns, you could almost go by what size a bowl it would take there and everything.
I've been to
There's exceptions where some horns don't fit bowls.
Yes, we have some that broke off in the bowl sometimes too. So you just never know what you're going to find in terms of pieces.
Yeah. Because if it ever that piece of end of the horn ever breaks off into a bowl, it seems like it gets cemented in there.
It does.
Just to grow, forget about it.
I have tried to get that broken one piece out for a long time, and then Barb. I froze it. I put hot water.
I think it's the heat and the friction whenever it gets broke that just cements it in.
But we have a great story.
Yeah. So let's switch this, and then you can tell them about your story, how you got one that came out of the broken piece. Because that white on white, boy, it shows up a little bit, but it's not terrible. So we're going to show another crest, and this one is.
This is the Emerald Crest.
And this would start at $75.
Yep.
This was in Fenton's line from about 46 up until about 56.
That's like it's like a salad size.
Yeah, that's right? I always call them salad bowls. They got small, like individual bowls. That's the exact same shape.
Yeah.
And that was one of the few lines that Fenton actually did a dinnerware line in that you could get plates, cups, and saucers. It and silver crest and aqua crest.
I know where there are 4 saucers and 4 sherbets right now from that group.
I always love that. Love that color.
Is he bought them at the same auction?
I had a real good customer of mine one time. He had the visions, and he pretty well got it completed of doing all the Fenton crest colors at a table setting, like doing them like one of each color, like a set of Fiesta.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So
And
tell
he
us
pretty
how
well got
you
the job done there.
the broken piece out of your Pern hole.
It was great.
Bowl.
Got the horn ball mount.
Mm-hmm.
So I was over at the thrift shop and I found one of the rose pastel, which is the pink milk glass they did in the 50s, the hobnail, the fern bowl. And it had one horn broken off in the bottom. Like Becky said, they're impossible to get out. But I thought, what the heck? For what the price it was, I was like, I will take it. Well, I got a lot of other stuff in my cart too. So that one ended up upside down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm tootling through the store and rattling around. All of a sudden I hear clink, clink, clink. And lo and behold, that little Pern horn piece had wiggled its way out.
Vibrating in the bottom of the cart.
So that's the
Just
next
enough. Got it out of the stuff.
So we're gonna take Becky's in next and stick it.
Yeah. I'm gonna just carry mine around, put it in the bottom of the cart, see if I can hit that right vibration and get it out of there. That'll be fun. So, all right, let's switch to another piece. Did you find that other fairy lamp?
I did.
Okay, let's start there.
You're no fun.
What do you want to do then?
I was just going through all the crests while we were talking about.
Well, you can do another crest.
Okay, we're gonna do one more
We'll do
crest.
the fairy lamp.
This one is apple
Yes.
blossom. And actually what it is plum opalescent that was spun into a crest and they applied to a piece of milk glass.
And it's got a bluish
Purple,
purple
yeah.
huge tone to it.
Because plum opalescent is nothing but actually amethyst or purple opalescent.
What was our start price on this one? Because I can't see and read the tags from here, and I have to climb over John, so it's just easier to ask. And she's got a memory about it as well. She just put it up there and read the sticker besides. So it's a really neat color. We've had this. We've had some pieces in the apple blossom crest in that giant whale tail vase, which is huge, which is about an 18-inch vase.
It's gorgeous.
And we've had candlesticks in it. I found a lamp in it one time, which was amazing. So
We've had the heart relish a couple times.
Mm-hmm. So it's a really pretty combination.
I've had a couple of unlisted pieces that was never put in their actual line.
Of course you have, John.
I had the big square-footed fruit bowl one time.
I'd like to have
Yeah.
Did they ever apply this to anything other than white?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my
That would
knowledge.
have been really pretty on some other color.
Yeah,
combination.
especially
Yeah.
like the turquoise milk glass.
Do they do a peachy color?
Did they do it one
Don't
time?
they, or do they call it something else? They
Rose
call.
crest.
Oh yeah, like it's like a
It's
like a
1940s.
pastel pink, and it's a crest as well. Yeah.
Rose, she's probably talking
Rose
about
crest.
rose crest, yes.
What I mean, we don't have any ebony crest. We don't have any flame crest. Those are hard to find. At least around here they are.
Yeah. I very seldom find plain crest or ebony crest.
I personally have
I've got one piece, I think, plain crest on my store on Etsy.
Okay. All right. Let's switch up to the other one, and then the other thing they call peach. Why don't you do this one, and we'll get the other peach in the room. Confusion out of the way.
That is peach crest. That is ruby overlay over milk glass, and then has the crest added.
Now, if it doesn't have the crest on it, it would be called.
Called peach blow.
So it's called peach blow because it's the ruby on
Overlay
the
over
inside
milk
and the
glass.
white on the
Yeah.
outside.
And that's what they called it over in England whenever they originally made it in the 1800s.
And then when they put the silver
Crest on it.
crest on it,
It
they
becomes
call it
Peach
peach
crest.
crest, which is really confusing. So,
It is both an overlay and a
mhm.
crest glass bowl. And predominantly that's what Fenton did in the 1940s and 50s was
Because they
either
were
overlay, opalescent, or crest glass, or they did milk glass.
So they were emulating the European stuff,
Yeah,
right?
mhm.
Two questions. Flame crest is it the orange or is it red?
It's orange.
It's an orange.
I would call it colonial orange. They just called it orange, but it was orange glass that was made into a crest.
It's gorgeous.
Peggy, that's a good question off the top of my head. So how did you get into Fenton, John? You tell me, answer that question. You tell me to start on this one right over here.
So, well, I started out in the antique
75.
business right as I got out of high school. I fell in love with Fenton, seeing it at auctions and everything else. And that was at a time that it was still considered quote unquote new glass because it was from the 40s and this was in the late 70s, early 80s. And I was always being told, and always loved colored glass to begin with. I was being told by the so-called authority antique dealers that knew what they was doing. Oh, you don't want to buy that stuff. You want to buy this old pressed glass, patterning glass, and everything. This old, well, I always said clunky clear stuff.
Yep.
And no, I like this real pretty opalescent, this real pretty overlay and Crest. And I just kept on collecting, kept on studying on it, and then I was selling. Finally, it hit its stride. It got old enough that people actually wanted it.
Mm. Oh, Peggy, I think I remember. Were they the ones with the mosaic on the hats? And those would have been made by the Monarch Company in Kansas City. And those are the newer pieces. Hi, Carol. How are you doing, Gluey Girl? Can they see that up close, that hat, please?
That is a pretty piece. That's another piece. It wasn't decorated by April Wassenberg, but it was another decorating company. It was Tyndale. I can't remember who it was. Another decorating company from the 1940s. They was in the same boat as April Wassenberg. Yeah. They couldn't get glass from Europe, so they was going to American glass.
All right. I think we've pretty much cut. Well, this is the only other crest we have up here, right?
Yes.
So we could switch it to another one if you would like.
Another crest or something else?
Might as well do the last crest we have around. So. No, Peggy, they aren't Fenton, but that is who the Fenton finders of Greater Kansas City had make their collector's pieces for their gala these last couple years in Kansas City. Since Fenton is no longer making its own glass. So Fenton has Mosser pouring some of its.
Fenton closed their own furnaces in 2011.
And then other clubs around the country have different places pouring and or making pieces for them for their conventions.
Okay. Fenton sold a lot of their own molds, and mostly they was reputable companies that will put it out that this isn't Fenton, this is our glass, but it is off of a Fenton mold.
I know it's complicated. I mean, if anybody's started on genealogy, that's what I always.
And we went through these growing pains some years ago whenever Cambridge closed up in the 50s, Cambridge and Heisey. A lot of their molds went to Imperial, which they were secure for about 20, 25 years. Then Imperial closed up. And some of the molds got scattered all over. Some went to Fenton, some went to went to Summit at the same time. Astoria and Westmoreland closed up in the 80s, and a lot of their molds went to Summit, and some went to Fenton, some went to Indiana Glass. And Frank Fenton was one of the big ones to want to preserve the molds and the integrity of collecting glass, and so he ended up buying a lot of the molds that he was never able to use just to keep them from going overseas.
And some of them, when Fenton sold, just went straight to the scrapyard, correct?
Some of it, yes. They made sure that they were scrapped. Some of the collectors clubs like Cambridge and Heisey in the 80s, whenever the molds came up, their molds came up for sale at Imperial, they bought all the Heisey molds, and so they are still owned by the Heisey Club.
Okay.
There.
So, can you tell us about this? And then the next question is are cake plates valuable?
Yes. The
Nope. Just send them our way.
This is actually, it's not exactly Gold Crest. It's on the same order as Gold Crest. This was made later, more in the late 90s to early 2000s, but this is what the Gold Crest would look. But this one has been iridized.
It's got a really neat finish.
It's pretty, yeah. It is very pretty. I always loved that shape to begin with.
Okay, so and then about the cake plates, are they hard to find?
Cake plates have gotten very desirable, very hard to find. Yeah. Cake plates in general, whether they're crystal, whether the early American paddling glass, or milk glass, or whatever by any company, they're very desirable there. And the Fenton ones that went through the roof. I know on several different cake plates I have seen lately has gone for $300, $400, $500.
Well, lots of them in those pastel colors.
Oh yeah,
Very high.
you get into those
Very
colored
high.
milk glass,
You
the
can
pastel colored milk glass cake plates.
Mhm.
They used to be a glut on the market. I was doing cartwheels down the aisle. I could sell one for 65. Now they're going for about 650.
Yeah. So Nancy has comments about the Fenton molds, has they been destroyed, would have kept Fenton pure. Now, there's a lot of people that, I mean, Fenton made glass for lots of different companies over the years.
Right.
And lots of different companies poured for Fenton.
So Fenton was not always poured by Fenton. Fenton and Fenton didn't always pour Fenton.
Yeah, especially I'll say from 2000 or late 90s on, during that last deal, whenever they really got busy, they would send it over to especially Mossa.
Yeah.
Whenever they was too overwhelmed to cover all the orders there.
So Mossa poured Fenton when Fenton was still in business also.
Yeah.
So,
and then Mossa bought, whenever Fenton went out of business, Mossa bought all the Fenton hobnail molds and thumbprint molds. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're doing a lot of their glass offer right now. But they are all marked accordingly, that they are made by Mossa.
Mm-hmm. And they're not doing the same colors.
And that was in the contract whenever they bought the molds. That they would not be made in the same colors that Fenton had ever made.
Saying when Fenton was trying to stay in business, making rarer pieces, and that kept them afloat for a bit. I mean, there's theories on this. Several people have their own theories. I've heard that they think that QVC was the end of them because they had so many returns.
QVC was one reason that they revitalized in the 80s and was able to continue until 2011 making glass because they was going through a real bad recession during that time, and they almost went out with Astoria and Westmoreland went out. Mm-hmm. They were just right at gasping for air. QVC was one of the big reasons why they were able to continue for that much longer into business.
I mean, you write down the nitty-gritty details. Yeah. You have a family company where you're getting.
It was a family company. It was in its third generation. The second generation, both had died. And actually, the whole estate for the first generation had not been settled out. There was members of the family from the first generation that was not involved in making the glass that was wanting their part of the estate because they was getting over it. And so it was just that was one of the first reasons for the breakup. And then it was just the high cost of gas at the time, natural gas, to make stuff. And there was a lot of factors to it, including the deal that the third generation was getting close to retirement age. There was really nobody in the fourth generation that would have been coming along that was interested in continuing on with the.
Well, and at the same time, you get all these lower price gifts on the market.
Yes.
Overseas.
So many gift collectibles went by the wayside in that era of time period, including Hallmark stuff and Department 56 and Hummels and Precious Moments and all those things. Like all kind of lumped in the same lull of that time period. Did Fenton make glass for Avon?
Never actually made glass for Avon. They made the glass for Avon Galleries. That was that cameo base, and it was a painted piece.
Okay. So what's the difference between Avon and Avon Galleries?
Avon Galleries is part of the Avon company that is a museum in Cincinnati.
Okay. So, do we know who made glass for Avon? I know Fostoria did.
Fostoria did. Wheaton Glass in New Jersey did most of it.
Because, like, they have those mom and dad paperweights. Yeah. I've gotten those with the Fostoria stickers on them.
Yeah. I always heard that the big goblets that they did in cobalt with the George and Martha Washington. Now, I can't confirm that. I always heard that they was Fostoria.
Mm-hmm. Those are Fostoria?
Yeah, I can't confirm it. I have never saw any interaction between the two companies where they talked about it or anything like that. But that's what I had always heard.
How do you tell the Fenton colors from other glass makers? That's a whole nother
study.
Yeah.
That's study. Buy books. More than the colors, learn your Fenton shapes. Mm-hmm. Because they, especially during the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, they had X amount of molds they was using, but they could have twisted them and turned them around to make a variety of shapes. So learn your shapes and learn your molds.
Okay, quick intervention on this one. Did Avon have some stuff that was made in France, or was that a different company that loved?
That's to my knowledge. I'm not that up on
What did you say
Avon
they called?
glass.
Yeah, Arca Now, I don't think they made that for Avon, but Arca was their
Well,
own.
this is, leave that up there for a sec. This is a good example. If you look very closely at this is the same mold that they had in the 1920s where they made the stretch glass candy jars. Fenton made the stretch glass candy
Oh,
jars.
yeah. Somebody's saying Viking also did for Avon.
You look very close. See what I'm talking about? If they would bring it right straight up,
No,
it is that was a candy jar. What's that?
I don't remember them having a smooth candy jar in that size.
Well, they revamped them up. It wasn't smooth at that time. They revamped the mold and took out the decoration.
Okay.
Yes.
You mean the panels?
Yeah, the panels. Yeah.
Okay, that's my question.
Yeah, there's always something else
So I
to
was like,
learn. And
no, the smooth candy jar is smaller.
No, Geneva said her mom sold Avon for 20 years. So yeah, you probably know a lot about it too, just by having it around so much. So,
Okay.
I mean, that's it. I mean, a lot of the knowledge that we have is just from being around it and being submerged in it for so long.
This
So
is a
what
good
do you got?
example of what we were talking about of know your shapes.
So are we playing the Is It Fenton game?
Sure, let's play the Is It Fenton?
Is this Fenton? My first guess is yes. But
Why?
since she's asking, it's probably not.
I would say it's yes. That's the big regular Fenton melon shape that they had back in the 1920s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No,
And it was
You're gonna have to. Can you pull it towards you a little bit, John? Because it's like warped in the camera.
Okay.
Keep going, a little bit more. Or stop right there. It's so wide. The fisheye lens made it look bigger on one side than the other. It looks like our vase from earlier. What would something like this start at, Barb?
85-ish.
Hi, Helen. So this bowl would start at $85.
Look at the
You're welcome, Margarita. Sorry, I know that. What do we got
pretty.
going?
I
Oh,
always
she's gonna
loved
give
that
us a
shape to
show.
begin with.
Fenton jade does not fluoresce. That's a good number one thing. If you have
Okay,
jade,
I didn't know that.
you've been listening to
I
Anne
knew
Blackmore.
that. I knew that.
John doesn't pay attention to seminars.
Now, who made it then? Northwood?
No, Fenton does not fluoresce. That did not fluoresce.
Oh, okay. I see
Yes.
what you're getting at.
So that's a Fenton one.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Studying beat. Okay. Yes. Shapes, molds, and colors from Czech and Germany. Got it, Jody.
I'm kind of the old school before the black lights came out. I don't need to put a black light on something to tell whether it's best and late. I just go by the shape because of the company.
Right, but there's a lot of
Right.
unknowns. But like when you have
Mhm.
jade from the 20s, there are so many companies that did things that are almost exactly the same.
Right.
Yeah.
You either need the stretch glass book if you've got your time to measure your
The
bowl
stretch glass
sizes.
book is amazing.
By Dave Shetler, and do you remember who the other?
Oh, I used to know
Oh,
off the
there
top
is.
of my head.
Becky's got it there.
I'll find it quick.
But it will go
But you can
through
even
all
find
the.
that sucker anymore. Yeah, for sale.
You can.
Every once in a while.
You're lucky.
It's out of print, but you can generally find a copy on eBay or Amazon. It depends how much you want to pay it anyway.
That's what I was going to say. Is it like the Viking book?
Not quite to that point. And Becky's
This
doesn't
book-
look like mine because she doesn't use it.
Stretch glass.
Mine is
What's
thrashed.
great about this book is, excuse me, go back, is
This is for especially 1920s era confusing
I'm gonna
shapes.
try and get it to focus for you. So it shows like
John
all
Manley was the other
different
one.
shapes of candlesticks and the nuances between the different little shapes and stuff like that, and tells you who made what and why they're different just by the little bitty nuances between them. And there's one that we use constantly, which is which one is that? The
candy jar one?
This one we use all the time because these shapes, like these four shapes right here, are so similar. There's just tiny nuances that are different from one company to another.
And the ones on the bottom there are the ones we were just talking about with that basket.
Yeah.
Fenton's version of that is the one that was smoothed out to make that.
Okay. All right. I think we're caught up on questions. And yeah, that jade color is amazing. This is considered their jadeite, right? For Fenton?
Yeah.
Jade.
They call it
This is
jade, but a lot of people still like to call it jadeite there.
because
Jadeite.
it's kind of the common.
Right.
term for it.
Even though jadeite's like the trademark term for.
And I can almost hear Frank Fenton right now, somebody was, like me that was doing research referred to that as jadeite. We never called that
Yes,
jadeite.
that's not what we call it.
Jadeite.
How about the next fairyland?
Okay.
And then we can play Is It Fenton with those
we've
bears
got-
over there or something else.
Oh,
Too.
we've got a lot of stuff to play.
We got a lot of stuff.
Actually, right now.
I know.
If you can see that, but what used to be the living room,
John.
now it's the glass warehouse.
It's a glass gallery. We're upscale. You're not allowed to tell the secrets. If you're in the inner circle, you're not allowed to tell the secrets.
Okay, this is a piece that
Oh,
Fenton
sorry.
made in the 1990s. They started a line called Mary Gregory. Mary Gregory was originally made in the 1800s there, and it showed scenes of children playing, doing the various activities and everything like that. A lot of different European companies started reproducing it in the 1950s, but was more streamlined. Fenton went back to the old type of decoration where it was very elaborate. There was extra paint added on to the white paint, extra white paint added onto the white paint, showing the bowls and the decorations for the dresses and items like that there. It was very popular pattern.
Okay, good. I'm glad it got better for you to ditch the gates. Janine is asking, what do you think is worth picking up the most from Fenton, from antique up to mid-century or mid-century to when they close?
It
Whatever you
depends.
like.
Right now, the mid-century to when they close is the most popular.
Oh, Janine,
But
that's
the
great.
most expensive, if you're just saying if we can go out and find it, is the free.
Oh yeah,
Which is an older stuff.
which is from the 1920s, and then again they started making it in the 1970s, and then after 2000, Dave Petty was their freehand artist.
Okay.
But really, what I was talking about was the stuff from the teens to the 20s,
Oh,
when they
yeah.
had this group of European glass artists come over. They worked at Fenton and they worked at Imperial. And if you can find that, you're in the thousands of dollars.
Well, what
Can you
was the
show
one
the
piece that
fan?
brought 25,000 here not too long ago?
Went for what?
25,000.
What did?
One of the pieces of freehand, Fenton freehand.
The last big one I heard went for 45,000.
Okay,
Was it at an auction? A big
Yep.
auction house or something?
A
There
big and wasn't it the big blue vase that went for
Yeah.
45?
it's going to be very interesting. I think it's over 4th of July weekend, right about the 1st of July. Reuters auction in New York has a large Fenton freehand collection that's going to be sold.
So there's two major auction houses in my understanding is
In
Jim
Fenton Land.
Rhoda out of New York and Dexter City Auction, which is in West Virginia.
And Jim's is actually under his son's name now. It's Matthew Rhoda Auctions.
Okay. Is this one signed?
Somewhere.
But if you would punch up on the internet, do a search for Roda auctions. That's WRODA.
Yeah.
If you're interested in freehand, that's going to be an interesting one to watch because that was that freehand. Some of that was that freehand collection that I told you about. I was wondering who it belonged to that came out of St. Louis.
Oh wow. Yeah,
Okay.
they in Springfield
That
they
was
came and
Sue
loaded up
Jackson.
the truck and took it back.
What's that?
It was hand painted by Sue Jackson.
Oh, Suzak. Okay.
Yes, Carol, I put that in as a start price of $125. If I make sure I actually
It's a
enter.
pretty one.
I think that's cheap.
Very
It is available. Let me see.
The
Yep,
milk glass actually sets off the rest of it.
I really think it's
Yep.
cute.
it has a start price of $125. Yes, I don't know where Michael from Cult of Vintage got all those Perns. I didn't watch his stuff, but I know he's out of Pennsylvania. And yes, it's amazing when you put a group of the same shape together, how much more they set each other. So, sorry, Paula. I thought I had entered it earlier. Thank you, Carol. I see you at 125.
I helped dispose of an estate several years ago that probably had conservatively 75, 80 burns.
Oh, sorry. What did I miss? Rita at the Booted Chick has a question. Did I miss it, Nancy? Just stuff. Yeah, I mean his haul was pretty cool. I mean we deal in Fenton. John has a little bit of Fenton. The problem is being able to have the audience. I mean, you guys here have like a super close-up look to what we do on a regular basis and in person at different shows. So you'll see quite a bit of Fenton that you'll never see anywhere else. And quite frankly, some of the stuff that Michael has is, well, okay, the Perns that he had were lots in the QVC era. They're beautiful glass, but they're
not uncommon.
Yeah. So we have, not that we have a lot of uncommon stuff. We do right now.
That cameo now is wow.
I'm sorry, Vintage Gates. And is anybody else having problems with the audio? Okay. And then we can count that down, Paula. I have Carol in, Glowy Girl in at 125. Yes, Debbie, I think that's kind of where we're all at. Do you love Fenton?
Yeah.
I mean, is that like if you're going looking, what's your top couple things you're looking for when you're out looking?
Well, it's hard because I don't only collect Fenton, I collect Victorian art glass, I collect quilts, linens, and textiles, old toys, a lot of different china and dinnerware patterns, German bisque, and Schaefer and Veda Jasperware, English chintz china. Like I said, I collect a lot of different things. So on a day whenever I go out and I can't absolutely find something or see something that I would want for myself, it's a very poor pickings and a very bad area to go into.
Yeah. All right, we got that.
And the same way with me dealing. I deal in so much other stuff there and everything. It's really difficult to not find something.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's it. When we're looking for everything.
It's always kind of a running joke with me and a couple other people that I go with. Some some antique deal shop owner will ask me, "What are you looking for?" I said, "It's simple to just tell you what I don't look for."
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we're gonna play. Is it Fenton?
I know.
With a floral design, has a Charlton decoration inside.
So put in the chat. What do you think?
Original Charlton sticker.
Fenton or not Fenton? Rita picked up a fair amber carrying lamp with no marking on it. How would she tell the mark makers? Well, it just depends on what it looks like, shape-wise. Yep, I mean, that's it. Shapes, you have to know your shapes, or you have to know some really good descriptive adjectives to put in Google to do a search to find something.
Most of us that do this have books, and we look at the books every day.
I mean, I have
That's the deal of it all.
Yeah.
Anything that you collect or anything similar to what you collect, you got to have books and study and keep studying. And even find information from outside sources from the books, like old catalogs and stuff like that.
If you make any correction in your book, write it in your book so you remember.
The consensus is no on this.
Okay.
They're right. That one is. This is kind of where it gets confusing. It was made by Westmoreland, decorated by Abel Wassenberg with the Charlton line. But later on, whenever Fenton got a lot of Westmoreland molds, that was one of the molds that they got, and they used several different times in their own line. So it does kind of get confusing.
Do somebody else have it in the middle too?
Not to my knowledge, no, because you see, this is where it gets, talking about glass genealogy. This is where it gets interesting.
So Westmoreland made it.
Yeah, Westmoreland made it.
Fenton made it.
Westmoreland went out of business, and whenever Westmoreland went out of business and they had their auction, Gary Levi, which Fenton had made glass for, and he was in hock to them for I don't know how many thousands upon thousands of dollars. But he was in hock to them. And at the West auction where they were selling the molds, he bought a lot of molds, and Fenton just came up to him and say, "We are going to commandeer these molds, and we will use them until we figure that you're out of hock to us."
Okay.
So, like I said, there wasn't on a lot of the Westmoreland molds that all of the Westmoreland molds Fenton had. There wasn't anybody in between because nobody got a chance to get in between.
I'm sorry, Buddha Chuck. I was looking and I'm not seeing your question as it was in there earlier. There we go. Yeah, there's so many makers. I mean, sometimes you can throw it up on, Instagram or Facebook in some of the glass groups and say, does anybody know what this is? But that happens a lot, is that people misidentify stuff.
Yeah.
Or you have something like this basket where it was Westmoreland's, it was Fenton's, and it was someone else's. So it depends on
Well,
who
one
made it
thing I
when it
will
was
tell
made.
you, and actually, I'm very thankful for all the Facebook glass groups that have come on, and on all the other social media, the glass groups that come on. But know that who is talking about them, know who the real authorities are, and listen to them and study what they have to say.
Yes, yes, Jody, that was kind of a trick question Barb put up in front of us. Yes. But that was, is it Fenton was kind of a trick
Yeah,
question.
it is, because they actually made that shape in plum opalescent iridized carnival.
Why not?
There. So that I know that because that's one of them. We collected that shape of basket for a long time. That whether it was Westmoreland or Fenton, and that's one of the ones I have is the plum opalescent carnival.
Have you heard of Zapper Glass?
I can't think of what I've heard of it, but I can't place what it is off the top of my head.
Can you recommend a resource with pictures? Your local library and books probably is a really good place to start.
Yeah, if you like Fenton, start procuring my books either through me or through the internet. However, there and start, like I said, study the colors, study the shapes. That's your main thing there.
Is there a book that has the cake plates in it more particularly?
Most of the cake plates will be in the 40 to 50 compendium.
Okay, because that's what
I said 40 to 50. I meant 40 to I'm sorry, 40 to 70
40
compendium.
to 70 compendium. Okay, Spirit Junkie, that pretty much gets that one. Zapper Glass is a fused glass. They did vases and beads, who thinks, done near, I'm sorry, Jody, I don't remember where you are. Crystal Lake. I might have heard of them but there's so many small glass studios around.
Dean Six, like I said, he's the vice president in charge of Blanco now. He's a glass historian for West Virginia glass. He said at one time there was 2,500 different companies in West Virginia that made glass.
You wrote that book. I was gonna say, Mom got that book. She loves that book.
Very interesting.
She loves the history.
And that's where you can find a lot of the glass genealogy and connections between glass companies.
Yeah, and the West Virginia Museum of Glass that's in I don't remember.
Weston, West Virginia.
Weston. That's a really great place to go.
If you ever have a chance, if you're ever traveling through West Virginia and more East West Virginia, that would be worth your stop if you like.
No, isn't there's the Corning Glass Museum in New York.
But it is more for you. It concentrates on more high-end and European glass. Weston concentrates only on American-made glass.
And then there's the one for California. Okay, I'm thinking of the Cambridge Museum. Morgantown has a Morgantown Museum.
Yeah.
Heisey has the Heisey Museum in Newark, Ohio.
Tiffin, I think they have a museum there at Tiffin, Ohio. Astoria, I know, has some sort of small museum.
So there's a lot of different places.
Miller did. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Indiana glass. Well, there is an overall glass museum in Indiana, Dunkirk, Indiana, where Indiana glass is. Another one, I don't hear too much about it. It is, I can't think of the name. I know it's downtown in Lancaster, Ohio, where the Hawking was made.
Oh, cool. So Google,
I used to sell to two of the ladies that donated regular to it at Columbus.
That would be a great resource to just see where glass museums are. If you're close to anything, they might even have some more information online in different categories and stuff, and that'd probably be a great place to start.
And I know a lot of the regional museums back there do have some, like I went to an exhibit.
Yeah, they have different sections.
Yeah, in a museum in Pittsburgh, because they were just doing an exhibition on.
I could get, like I said, Dean Six was talking about all the glass museums in West Virginia, but there was probably 70 or 80 different glass museums just in Pittsburgh alone at one time.
There were so many. My mom did a program on that after she read the book and researched it. It was amazing. How about this guy? What would this start at?
That was made by Fenton for the LG White Glass Company. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, tell us about it.
Okay.
Tell me a start.
LG Wright owned molds, but they did not have it finished, kind of like what Fenton is like right now. And so they would contract with Fenton, Imperial, Westmoreland, different glass companies to make the glass for them. They was limited with Fenton. They was limited to Fenton if they wanted opalescence, the opaque, like the milk glass, or the overlays, because Fenton was the only ones that could make it that at that time.
Okay, quick question. What is the name of the Dean Six's book about West Virginia glass?
Do you know what the actual name of that is?
You mean about the glass counts?
Yeah, the glass town and glass companies.
No, but I can look it up real quick.
Well, I'm gonna put it in as this, and it'll kind of get you close enough to it. And I think it might be West Virginia and Ohio. Some of it.
No, it was just West Virginia.
Just
I
West
remember
Virginia?
that because
Okay.
whenever we was running together, whenever I lived out there, he was researching all that. That was one thing. That was one thing. Fun thing running with him, me and him and a couple other people. We was in Lancaster one day hitting some antique shop. We was driving down to the main drag. He said, "Stop the car! Stop the car!" And he just bolted out of the car, went running across the street where they was tearing down a couple of buildings, and he just started snapping pictures. But he got back in. He said that was the original Anchor Hawking offices that they was tearing down.
Laura, if it's not, I'll get the correct one put in the chat for you. So,
He also wrote West Virginia glass between the
mhm. He's done a lot local, like that local area stuff, because that's
Yeah.
that's where Blinko is.
Yeah. If you were
And
nothing
I think he's got
else.
printers on a West Virginia cookbook too.
Yeah. Oh, he's done a lot of different books. Nothing else.
West Virginia glass town.
Okay. One more word. Do you want to put the black light on that one?
Surely. So this is custard glass, in case we didn't talk about that.
Did I spell Virginia wrong?
Virginia.
It wants to correct it. There we go.
I'm always arguing with my spell check.
This is a shaker, right? What is
Sugar shaker.
a sugar shaker? So it's a bigger shaker than the, like obviously the salt and pepper one, and it's in the
Or a
custard
muffinier,
glass.
if you want to use the
specific term.
Yeah, you see that candle
Ooh.
shape? That's going to be in modern glass. LG, right? Usually.
Well, that's interesting. I have an error on YouTube. It's usually temporary. Wait a moment and then try again. So West Virginia glass towns. How old is this shaker? What era is it?
Actually, that was done in the 1970s. It's not quite as old as what you would think.
1970s. Yeah, that's a good almost 50 years
Yeah.
old.
A lot of people see it and think it's more Victorian type.
Well, it's a copy of a Victorian.
Yeah, it is an actual copy of the Victorian. A lot of
And
Victorian.
yes, it's painted. Can you put it closer to so they can see the rose painting on it? Is that what they call that?
Yeah.
What do they call that? Moss rose?
Mm-hmm. I don't know whether I'm getting a good shot of it
You're
or
pretty
not.
good. Then you can rotate it to the other side.
Yeah, I think that one has. No,
It's kind
that
of
one.
similar.
This was interesting because most of LG Wright
Lower.
pieces isn't artist signed.
Lower.
Oh, that one's signed? I didn't even
Yeah,
know.
that
Right
one
there,
is signed.
yeah.
They also did a strawberry decoration on custard, which is kind of hard to find. I was in a friend of mine's house one time down in Tennessee. She just had strawberry LG Wright pieces that was custard that decorated with strawberries all over the place. And I said, "When did that come out?" She said, "I had them to do it in the 1970s, and then they got the idea after they did it for me to start putting it into the line." So she actually had the prototypes.
What's the start price on this bear?
$225.
Okay, go ahead and explain why.
This was made by Dave Fetty, which was the freehand glass artist of Fenton during
You might need to hold it really close because it looks.
during 2000 in the 2000s. Yeah, this is the mosaic bear. Actually, they had a lot of trouble. They had done the mosaic in freehand in 1920s, but they had a lot of trouble recreating the format to do it. They're in the process to do it. And it always kind of a funny story. Nancy Fenton was talking about it at one of the glass display reviews there. Whenever the 100th anniversary came out, each of the Fenton family had a certain treatment or a certain shape that they wanted to have done with their name on it. And George Fenton's was a mosaic base. and they was trying to make it. It was getting close to the release time, and they couldn't get it done. It wasn't coming out right. And as she came into him in the office, he said, "What's your backup piece?" He said, "There is no backup piece."
Now, is this similar to like that the base glass is rolled in some frit,
Yes.
or it has
It's black glass, and then it would be rolled into frit, and then the frit would kind of bloom out and blossom out in the heat.
Okay, and then the line, the veining between it is just the black glass coming through between.
I think sometimes, I think what they had to do, and I'm not sure with that, they would have like the ice pick, like in the hanging heart, and they would kind of make the lines in there.
Yeah, that's so it's got the base glass color of black.
Yeah.
And then it's got the frit color, which is the yellows, reds, oranges, and
yeah,
greens.
all the other colors.
And then there's some strung glass on the outside of it, where it looks a little more dark again on top. And then that whole thing is put into the mold of the bear and blown out to the shape. Stop me if I'm not saying this right. And then they're taking it off the pontil and grinding it down to sit like this. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I hope that answers the majority of those questions. This is not painted. That's all the color of the glass itself. So how many do you think you made of those?
So on the mosaic, I don't know. They got to making a lot of the different blown bears and of the blown cats.
Oh,
because after Fenton closed their furnaces, Dave Betty would go over to John and Ann Fenton, which had Fenton Collectibles in Republic, Missouri, and he was making them over there.
Good job, Jody. Yeah. Okay. What else did you get for us there, Miss Barb? I'll take the bear. I know. She's leaving us.
Okay.
I'll take the bear down. And please hand me the bear. What's next? Oh, and this is, I mean, considering how heavy like the glass animals are, this is considerably lighter because it is hollow.
Yeah.
Yes, it is hollow. It's still a little bit thicker at the top, but it's much lighter than their solid
That's a
glass.
pretty one.
Is it Fenton?
Is it Fenton?
I'll keep my mouth shut this time.
Don't tell him, John. No hints. Yes, Jody, it is hollow. Okay, is it Fenton? Yes or no? I'm just going to say, in observing it, I would guess it would be a perfume or a small decanter of some sort, because it's got a stopper, a cologne. Okay. Sand carved. Have I seen this one? Yeah, it's a cameo look to it. Yeah. So I'm going to guess and say it's not Fenton Glass, but I don't know who the artist was. Okay, we have no. Yes, no, 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 yes, no. Kanawha?
Nose have it.
No, it is not Fenton. Pilgrim Glass. And,
talk about it?
And who carved this one?
That is it Kelsey's? Okay. That is Kelsey's in Bull Camps.
So they didn't only carve
they
on
started
glass.
Yeah, they started out at Pilgrim.
So this one is
Kelsey
signed.
started at Pilgrim?
Yep, this says Kelsey / Pilgrim.
The other one too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, they were same as husband and wife. They just never did marry.
Okay. Yeah. What's the other name they're missing?
Rubber Bolton Camp.
The other one. One before Kelsey. No, it wasn't one before Kelsey. What's after Kelsey?
Chris Carpenter.
There we go.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm mixing all my sand
You had me messed up. You had me confused.
There we go. All right. So what would this piece start at?
I'd say
350 would be what we have on this one. So we're looking at, I see white and amber and ruby. So at least 3 colors of glass.
At least, and there's a clear layer. So yes,
clear?
at least 3 layers of glass.
Okay.
But I think the outside, I think it's a ruby layer, and I think it's the interior ruby.
Okay. So
I'm not positive.
it's kind of along the lines that Kelsey got glass from different companies.
Well, actually, Kelsey worked for Pilgrim and helped them create their, like she did with Fenton, helped them create their cameo line. And then whenever Pilgrim went out, he had bought a lot of blanks, and that's whenever she created Made in Heaven company.
Oh, okay.
And then it was selling okay, but she wasn't getting the distribution as she was through Pilgrim.
And you said it was 350?
350.
Okay. Let's see if it likes me now.
And it's hummingbirds.
So hello,
with
Tommy.
fuchsias.
How are you doing tonight? Thanks for joining us. And I'm sorry, Buddha Chick. I'm sorry I missed your comments earlier. I apologize. Sometimes it scrolls up so fast I miss them. Thank you for helping me find those questions earlier.
Really pretty whenever you turn it. The light shines through the thin places
Yeah,
there.
it's amazing at the bottom how you can see the carving so much too.
That's a great piece.
Yeah, look at Barb getting right in there on it. So you can see it.
Especially since I'm not really sure where my
You're good.
finger's pointing.
You're good. And the stopper on that. Does it show the layers of glass at the top? So we can see how many colors it is?
Not really. That's where it gets a little hinky.
Okay, because it's been pushed out
Yep.
again. Yeah, it was pretty. You did a good job.
Thanks.
Congrats. Claps all around for Barb on that one. Carved pumpkin. That's reminding them of.
Same principle.
Okay. Yeah, looks better without the stopper. It kind of looks like a vase, like a mini vase without the stopper in it.
I like that shape. I never have saw that shape before.
Okay, that's right. Okay, do you have what do we have right here? Might as well do what you got on the table.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Okay. What do we got at the start on this one?
55.
Okay.
Okay.
This is Fenton. It's the Cologne Glass. It's the orange tree pattern. Now, is that color Cobalt Marigold? I thought,
It's Cobalt Carnival. I don't think. It's
yeah, I think it's Cobalt Marigold because I didn't know they did that orange tree rose bowl in the Cobalt Marigold.
It doesn't look like American spray.
Yeah, it's very junky. And if you see carved pieces and they're reasonable and you even kind of like them, pick them up. So, yeah. Jody said she's taking notes, and Geneva's like, "Yeah, I kind of feel like there might be a quiz later."
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Right?
Because I go on with so much stuff, I can't even remember what we talked about.
Exactly. I mean, we jump around because there's so much stuff that they made. What era is this one? How old?
This was 1980s. If it
1980s.
is Cobalt Marigold. I think Cobalt
40
Marigold
years
came
old.
out about 83.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and the finish on these is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, it is really pretty.
And that bright cobalt color.
I had to laugh.
Beautiful.
I was irritated at him, but I had to laugh. Some years ago, we was at a guy that was collecting collected art glass and Cornucopia Class.
Mm-hmm.
And he was supposed to be a quote-unquote authority.
Yeah.
Well, Fenton was the one that created the Colonial Blue process in 1910. I've talked to him, and he said, "Oh, I never liked Fenton. They reproduced Colonial glass, and they copied Colonial glass in the early 1900s." And I'm thinking, they created the process.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's it. I think that some of
The
it's
people
so
that was
far
with
removed.
me, they kind of saw I was doing a slow burn, but I think it's time for you to go right now.
Some people just don't know who did what, and so many things crossed over from company
Yeah,
to
right.
company.
But Fenton was the actual company that created the Colonial glass process, and then Northwood and Dugan and all the other ones followed
So
suit.
Northwood wasn't the beginning of Carnival.
No,
Fenton was.
yeah, Fenton was the
No European countries did it before
They
then?
had they had some European glass, and Steuben and Tiffany had done Carnival glass, and Fenton copied that off of
Okay.
them.
You know, it's poor man's Tiffany.
No, it was a poor man's Tiffany.
There's where it
It's
is.
the same process of spraying metallic salts onto glass to get an iridescent finish.
Okay, so I have to interrupt for one moment. Laura, you want the Hummingbird Bottle? We had it started at $350. If that is correct, that you want it for $350, please confirm in the chat. Yep, I was just making sure I had all the right numbers and stuff. So, Fenton copied
Tiffany and Steuben.
Tiffany and Steuben.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be that they created the process then?
They kind of created it, but it was still a different form.
Oh, okay. They did it a different way.
Yeah, they did it a different way.
Okay.
And did it a cheaper way.
Yeah, so they could make it
But yes,
a cheap
it's
glass.
the same process.
Okay, thank you, Laura. She wants a hummingbird bottle.
Okay. So your Tiffany and Lowe's and things like that,
Yeah.
they're generally either mold blown or what do I want to say?
Can we show this one up
Freehand.
closer?
Yeah, they was
As-
freehand.
As opposed to being pressed glass
Yes.
in a
You
mold.
see, this was pressed into a
It's
mold, then was
iridized.
taken out and sprayed with the process. And
Yes.
if I remember right, and I'm not that up on how they make the Tiffany lusterware and the Steuben, but I think
It's
it
really
was
just
done
glaring.
while they was
You have to
making
hold it
the
still.
blowing the item the set itself.
So it's no wonder that so many people misidentify who did what and when because of all the copying back and forth.
Oh yeah,
If it makes money, it makes money.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Laura. I think we got that all set up. Thank you, everyone, for double checking on
that's a
the
beautiful
comments.
piece. I love that
It is pretty.
bottle. That is an absolute beautiful piece. I had never sold that one before in place.
Oh, fun. But Midge is making a key lime pie while she's listening and watching.
Nice. Then she's going to ship us some, right?
Right? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Sure. Bryson box.
Oh, nice, Laura. The carving on the bottle is definitely a conversation piece. It's a very nice carving. It's a very nice piece. Yes. So, yes, Jody, the start on this Cobalt Bowl was $55. Correct. All right. So this just needs, our hummingbird piece needs to come to this sticky
Okay.
note. And then if you'd like to, if anyone's interested in that Cobalt Bowl, we'll pull it and put something else. How did they carve the glass? Well, that's what we're talking about being a sand carving. Is
Yeah.
that not
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sand
Well, on sand carving and on the cameo glass both, it's a difficult process because you have to have it into like a box that you're looking into a window at, and you're holding the item. You have gloves on, and you're holding the item in that box, and you're on the outside, and you're pressing it up against the cutting wheel to get the design.
Yes.
And it's very, like I said, it's very difficult and very time consuming. It's one reason why cameo glass and sand carving go so high. Now, I mean, you really have to be precise to get it that detailed.
My understanding is they did some like cutouts and like would stick them
Yeah,
on.
they have. I can't think what
like a vinyl or
yeah,
something. Of some sort.
they have a pattern that they cut out, and they work with that there.
Yes, Jody, I'll send an invoice. Paul is counting it down for you.
Templates. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
there you
Templates.
go. Mm-hmm.
It was going for me for a second.
So when they did the multiple layers, they put on, and it's like working in reverse because
Take a piece off and a piece off and a piece off.
yeah, there is a
You
video.
hope you don't
out
take too
there.
much off.
Who is it? Carpenter who's got the movie out there? Because we watched it at
Yeah,
a
Chris
convention.
Carpenter.
So you should be able to find that somewhere. Google it.
I don't know if you could Google Chris Carpenter cameo glass artist, whether that would come anything that would come up on like on the internet.
I'm not
I'm
sure.
gonna scoot this right.
You might Google Kelsey Murphy or like I said, Chris Carpenter, one of the two.
Thank you, Jody. And they're saying yes, this is Fenton. They're waiting for you to ask.
Yay! I figured that was obvious enough. I wouldn't need to.
All right, what is this one?
That's by Listener Snow. That was Fenton's first hand decorated item that they made when they opened up the decorating department in the late 1970s.
When they reopened.
Yeah, they reopened it because it had been closed down since the 1920s.
This is one of their most prolific painting patterns,
Yeah,
isn't it?
But it was a popular pattern. It stayed in the Fenton's line until the early 1980s. Very popular pattern.
Oh yeah.
And Fenton was well known for having a pattern in the line for a long time, but they would discontinue one shape and bring out another shape. And this was one that they really worked on.
If I'm recalling right, there was a Violets and Pern before this, right?
Well,
That's actually
the first 6 months Violet Snow was made, it had a fern
the Pern
down along in here.
Yeah.
And they decided that took too long to paint the fern, and so they just took the pieces out. So if you ever see a piece of Pern. It was made from about January of '69 to June of '69.
I think Barb's gone on a glow hunt over there. Well, there's the both with the cobalt crest and the basket. So you pass both of those on that side. Okay. All right. Switch up something. Do you want to see if we have a signature on this one while we're waiting? Probably a different signature on the lid than the base on this one.
No, it should be.
Here.
Darlene is very unusual. I can't read the Latin. Mayweather, I think it is. Because usually they would sign it like Darlene M or D Mayweather, something like that.
DFR on the lid
Uh-huh.
and Darlene Mayweather on the bottom. So these ones have different
Yeah.
signatures.
Most of the time they would try to match up the artist with the top and bottom there and everything. And sometimes over the years something would happen and somebody would break a top or a bottom and then they
find a lid and put it on the one that theirs
Well, I think a lot of times too, depending on where you were in the production run, I think they had one person doing lids and one person doing bottoms.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, you can pick out these because this is an easier design to do.
Laura says she has a paperweight from you, probably from Springfield, I'm guessing. That was an amber and brown glass hand carved flower signed Kelsey. Do you recall that at all?
Trying to think.
I don't remember that art.
I don't remember that one off the top of my head.
I know we had some other ones. We had several sand carved ones in Springfield also.
We did.
All right, well, let's do a light show and then we can talk about this one. Do we have a starting choice on this one?
$250. Before I put down the
Did she leave the black light behind? Do we need a black light locator?
That sounds like me.
you said?
If it gets laid down in the shop, maybe 10 years later, I might find it.
Yeah, unless you want to give John a heart attack right
There we
there on
go.
YouTube.
There we go. Yes, Geneva. And Jody says, Fenton for sure.
Yeah, both these are Burmese. The basket was made for QVC out of for the Four Seasons series. The coat shell vase, or Nautilus vase, was the Frank Fenton memorial piece that was made after his death. And it's an interesting piece because it actually was a Cambridge shape to begin with. There.
I had that Nautilus in cobalt.
I bet that would be pretty.
Somewhere back.
Is it painted?
It's living in my house.
Is it decorated cobalt? Or
No, it's just plain.
that could be a Cambridge one then.
It's all right. It's all right.
We just said, Becky said, I have the Cambridge vase.
Sorry about that.
Definitely.
It's been a long day. We won't go into any details.
Okay. So this is a heat sensitive glass.
Yes.
And then do we know what chemical they put in it?
Uranium.
It is uranium.
To begin with, they used uranium. I think they might have cut that down in the 80s, the amount of uranium they used because the EPA got onto them. Because I know they had to recalibrate the formula to make Burmese, and that's why it comes out so much more lighter and softer like this than the original Burmese that they made in the 70s.
When did they start painting pieces?
Well, they painted it originally in the decorated originally in the teens and then the 20s, and they stopped with the decorating until about 1969.
Do I get to put something in? They started as a decorating only company in 1905 before they made glass.
See? Bonus info. Yeah, they're saying they don't necessarily care for the pink and the yellow, but they like the Burmese together. Like they don't like pink yellow, but they like it, the combination together. So yeah, Burmese is really pretty. They also have blue Burmese and
green Burmese.
Is it sea
mist? Lotus mist.
Lotus mist, which is a green and pink. Yeah, so they have a couple of them. Can they see the shell one a little bit close up, ladies?
That is a wonderful piece. The way they decorated that.
This came out of the John Walk personal collection.
He brought a few pieces with him. We did a little live sale on Facebook before this, and then we're doing a couple hours here on YouTube tonight. So spreading it all around. And it's, yeah, it's got,
It's got all the original paperwork, the original price tag that's on it.
perfect.
The original dead bugs inside it.
The patina.
Oh, actually, I think once we bought it, it got there about 2007. They got up, they got stuck on to that one place, and it's been there ever since.
Mhm. Okay. Did you pull something else up? Did I miss it? Or were you just doing
No,
these two?
I just got those.
Oh,
two.
I thought you were going to be pulling the yellow and blues.
I was, but I
That's
hadn't
what I
gotten
thought
there.
you were pulling, and then you brought these up.
I already had
Surprise.
those.
Too surprised. Oh, Tammy. No, I missed it. Let me go up and find it. Oh, did I see your last time? Any Fenton glass? Yes, these are Fenton. I'm not quite sure what you want more specifically than that, because the majority of everything we've put up tonight is Fenton. Other than playing, is this Fenton? For things
Which
that are
ones?
super close to
Yes.
Fenton. Yeah, Jody, it's a neat show. Is this, yeah, the question, yeah.
Is this Fenton?
Is this Fenton was what we've done with a couple things, because some of the molds have been through different countries. Companies, excuse me. All right. You want to switch it to the next thing? We're at almost at 10 o'clock, so we're almost at 2 hours. How long are you two lasting tonight? Are you feeding? Are you?
Yeah, I'm
You're
feeding.
not snoring.
Not
yet.
knowing yet.
Wait till he gets in the car.
You're driving home, Barb?
Yes. My van, I'm driving home.
What about the basket right there too? Or are they two different price points?
Let me put those two up together.
Okay. What are we starting these?
Want to get?
95.
Want to see if a face of pure fear? Let me start driving. I'll go.
That's the reason that I will be driving.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
John,
Perfect.
in the shop. I like my van still.
So
Okay,
who's
these are
got
Vaseline. Both of them was made by Fenton for Russell about 2000. In
Or-
about 2000.
Topaz
Yeah,
opalescent?
Topaz opalescent. I don't know why Fenton always called their Vaseline Topaz opalescent, but that's what they did.
Yeah. Coin. Is it coin dot? Or coin spot?
That one is coin dot,
Yes, that was
and
coin
then
dot.
Daisy and Button is the basket.
With the cobalt crest, or what do we call that crest?
Yeah, it's Cobalt Crest.
Okay.
I think that was the only time they did that Cobalt Crest on Vaseline.
You wanna
was
light 'em
special
up
for
for us?
Russell.
I see Tommy in a 95.
Those are pretty.
You gotta watch your eyes. Here it comes. Woo! Now, what is the pattern on the basket? Daisy and Button?
Daisy and Button, yes.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite color combinations. Is the
And you know that
topaz and the cobalt.
You know that John's fading because you didn't get a lecture about coin spot when you said that.
We always call that color glass. Indeed. Oh, great, Jody. Piss yellow, and everyone knows what I'm talking about. Well, you know, Mom calls it Mountain Dew color. That's a little bit more.
That's interesting. Yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah, Mom calls it Mountain Dew. And there's a, let's see, I got to come up with the name of the one with the flower at the bottom, Duncan Miller. There's a color in that that's like a neon yellowy
See,
green
that's the one
color
that
too. From
I always
Mountain
hear
Dew.
Paul about.
Mhm.
And that one is more not too
Right.
hard.
Right, Paul is like, he's getting quieter.
Right? Pretty soon then you start to
Yeah, it's right. There you go. That's a good way to put it, Jody. That's a little classier. There you go. And we're going once and going twice. Anybody else wants to get in there? We have 95 with Tommy. Last call, y'all. That's my Georgia coming out from Miss
Last call,
Paula. Mm-hmm. Okay. More. There you go. Thank you, Baba Wally. Yep. I figured that there's got to be some of those videos out on YouTube somewhere for the sand carving. So we are sold. What is your choice? Which one would you like for $95? The vase or the basket, or both?
both.
You're only 1 hour different from us, aren't you?
Yeah.
Central
Mhm.
time zone. Yeah, he's not too bad, but he gets up at the crack of dawn. So, or as Stephen would say, the butt crack of dawn.
Yeah, but easy for him to say. I don't think he's ever got up at the crack of dawn.
when you're here, he calls. He said, just because John gets up at the butt crack of dawn doesn't mean y'all have to.
And I don't. Did
I
you
slept till
know
8:30 this morning.
that the glass glow when first putting uranium in for color? So did they know that the uranium would make it glow when they first used it as a coloring?
That I don't know, because they started using that, started making that color. Northwood and other companies did back in the late 1800s. And that I don't know whether they. Well, of course, they didn't even have electricity, let alone black lights at that time. So they didn't.
Yeah,
Thank you,
no,
Tommy.
it was just this
The
makes it
vase,
pretty
please?
yellow. And
Yeah.
Can you hand me the vase, please? All right.
It just made pretty yellow and or green color.
If anybody else wants that basket for 95, just put basket in the comments.
Okay, any special requests?
And Tommy, I don't think I've shipped to you before. If you don't mind sending me your information, vintagevikingtreasures@gmail.com. That would be awesome. Thank you. Yep, just a happy accident. But there's what? How many different kinds of chemicals that glow or fluoresce?
That I don't know. I think there is a good bunch, but I don't know what all.
Well, it depends on what wavelength of black light you're using too.
True.
A lot of people will check for leaded glass.
There's different
Is-
waves. Did y'all know there's different wavelengths for black lights? I didn't until a little while ago, but now I do. Okay, a few, Geneva says, a few chemicals that glow.
Right.
So we know cadmium, uranium, selenium. There's another
I'm
one.
missing one right in my head.
There was one.
It's amazing that the chemicals
There's a
that they
blue
use
and a pink.
to make the different colors.
What?
I said it's amazing that the chemicals that they use to make the different colors and everything.
Yeah, I think
Different elements.
I think what's his name? Florida.
Manganese mix.
Manganese. There's another one. He was telling me there's somewhere between 6 to 10. Eric, I think there's 6 to 10 different chemicals that react to black light. But I don't know anymore.
So I know whenever I did my very first book, I sent a list of colors I was working with and asked Frank Fenton to put down what chemicals that was used for each color, and he obliged and sent me, and I included it in the book. Well, whenever I did the 70 to 85 book, chocolate glass was in that book. And I wasn't thinking chocolate glass had always been a big, deep secret as to even what went into it.
Yeah.
And I had chocolate glass on there with all the other different colors that was in the 70, 85 time period. He had everything else down there whenever he sent it back, and then he had just next to chocolate glass wrote, ha, ha. I called him up and I said, ha, ha, ha. He said, a lot of people tried to wiggle that out of me and everybody else, and I was almost ready to sit down and write that, then I realized what I was doing.
2 questions. Is there any other purple pieces this evening? And in Europe, the colors are not necessarily consistent? I mean, each glass company has their own secret formulas, right? That's what you're just saying about the color combination for chocolate. Yeah.
And even Fenton, whenever Jacob Rosenthal passed away, he was the chief chemist there from the time it opened up until the 1940s, whenever he passed away. And his son was working with him at that time. And after he passed away, his son and the Fentons had a falling out about stuff, and he left the company and took the formulas with him. They didn't even know how to make their own glass, and they had to recreate some of all of the formulas that they was using at that time.
You're up there. I know, I got your purple question. I'm sorry. And hello again. Can you describe this one that we got up there?
That one is another piece of Kelsey Murphy, Robert Bonkamp. There, it was Fenton shape that I don't know whether they actually ever put that one into the line, or was more of a set.
In line?
Yes.
The shape was?
Uh-huh.
Does it, I can't remember what's marked.
That's kind of a fun one with like the lizards and everything.
Salamanders. And it repeats like what, 3 times around the base?
Just twice.
You sure? I think
It's on Paul Marine.
1, 2.
There's 3.
There are 3. Okay, I'm wrong.
Closer, please.
So it's enough
You
yet?
have to realize it's practically an inch away from the camera, which is hilarious.
They're like, hello.
It could use a little dusting, and one of the things that is used for cleaning This glass is what, Armor All?
Yes. Armor All
And
protected.
it does have a little chip right
It's
there.
got a
on the
little
edge.
flea bite right here on the edge, so we are offering this one just at $150.
That's
This
an
would normally
18.
be
We'd be in the 1,000+ range on this guy too, but it's a chip.
Okay. Is it a resist? No, this is carved. This one's carved.
Yeah, this one's,
Yeah, same carved.
yeah, no, this is multi-layered.
Mhm. So you were looking for purple. Did you come up with
I
anything
came up
else?
with no purple. How funny is
No
that?
more purple. I see blue. And
No, we've got
orange.
blue, we've got orange.
You might have to look again.
I'm looking.
Just saying.
Do you see purple?
Did we have any purple to even start with?
That's what's so funny.
There might be a. Well, I don't know what color that Blinko water pitcher is. And there's one on the bottom shelf up here, but I don't know what color it is. So, any other questions for John? Any other requests? And I think we'll probably wind it down. And because they still have a drive, about an hour drive back to
Right.
Denver tonight.
And if you guys think you want to see,
Yeah, message me. Comment in the replay of the video. Let us know what you're looking for. Let us know what you're interested in.
If you're interested in some of the stuff I have for sale, especially glass on Etsy, my one shop that has glass is Simply Fenton Art Glass. That's the name of the whole shop. Run it together all as one word, Simply Fenton Art Glass. The other shop is Walk Memory Lane. Kitchenware, dinnerware shop is called China Kitchen. And then I do linens and textiles, and that's on Vintage Tablecloths, and all of them is run together as one word.
All the things. John does all the things.
I do all the other things.
Can they see the chip again, please? We'll be getting Laura for your pieces tonight, Laura. I'll be doing the invoicing. I'll let you know. And if you're wanting books, you need to send a message to John or myself.
It's the itty bitty little
That
chip
would be
there.
coming from John. That flea bite is not, but it's under a quarter-inch
Quarter-inch.
wide and way narrower than that. So yeah.
We had
all right.
discussed
Fair
about
Junkie,
that
you're in at
the other
150.
night there on some of the, especially on some of the cameo pieces with real sharp edges as to whether they could have been done right there at the time they was made too.
Yeah, it could have been. Well, we'll have to keep our eyes out for purple for sure.
I mean,
I
we've
know
got
there's-
purple, but
I know. We just don't. We have a lot. Okay, let me finish one sentence. We have a lot that's still packed up from Springfield. Second sentence. We need to transition from mixing it in from that big show to all the Fenton going to West Virginia and all the other glass going to a different show here in Colorado that we're going to divide and conquer and do 2 different shows in July. So
No
that's
pressure.
kind of where we're at. Yep, last call and we're sold. Thank you, Spirit. Appreciate it. You should get the reptile vase.
reptile.
Yep.
Are you sure that's not an amphibian?
Okay. The creepy crawly thing on the
Creepy
vase.
crawly. He's cute.
He is
I always
cute.
call them lizards.
He's cute way over there.
Lizard.
If I saw it in my house, I wouldn't think he
I
was.
think he's cute. What if he was in your bed now on your pillow?
Oh no, definitely not cute.
He's got.
We
No,
have a
we get him out in the backyard, which is the weirdest. Not
You
the
get lizards.
salamanders, we get lizards.
we have a sun porch there on the front of the house that had originally been kind of like a greenhouse. And it isn't
Thank you.
completely finished off, and they can slide in. There was one winter he decided to take up residence in the sun porch amongst all the glass.
Oh yeah.
We'd look out there, and he'd be laying out there in the middle of the floor on the rug there during the middle of the winter because the sun was coming in the afternoon, sunning himself on the rug.
Geneva, you just message me. We don't normally do layaways, but I know I have some stuff coming to you anyway. So if there's something, because we're meeting up later because we have to do a switch. So you just message me. We can go from there. Peggy wants to know, or her husband wants to know, if you do personal appointments for estates of Fenton that they don't know a lot about. Like, you want to know information about it, or you want to have it to sell it or appraised? Yeah, well, I guess we need Like what? Do you do appraisals?
I'd rather not do appraisals. I can if I
Hi,
have
Danny.
to.
Can we see the red big cookies basket again, please? No worries, Geneva. But you know, somebody might want to need that answer to that question. Yes, to sell. You want to sell it. You know, why don't you message me about that, Peggy? Because I do know several people who do buy estates, and sometimes we buy estates, but
It depends on where you're located. I'm in
depends on where you
Illinois.
are.
They're here in Colorado.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what was our start on the big cookies there in the Mandarin Red? 150? 150 was the start on this big basket. Baba Wally saying, FYI, when next going to a museum exhibit a glass or whatever, bring a small flashlight to view the pieces at different angles so you can see the different kinds of glass colors and
I know.
opacity.
Opacity.
I know. I had a proverb.
So you can kind of see, you can see it lit up for yourself. Yeah, that's a good idea.
After my mother passed, and I was selling a lot of her collection. She had a Proverine sandcard base. It was Kelsey Murphy. I just always kind of looked at it, kind of, that's okay. Not one of my favorites. And I was thinking about selling it, and I had it sitting over there with light shine through it. Yeah, no, we're not going to sell it.
I mean, I went to that Chihuly exhibit in Phoenix in the evening, and that was fantastic.
Yeah, I bet it would have been.
Because it's illuminated from the inside and the outside. And it was just amazing. So if you haven't seen my video, go check it out. Yeah. So, all right. I think we're pretty much close to the end. If you have some more comments about what you're interested in, put it in the comments for the replay. Make sure you send me your information at vintagevikingtreasures@gmail.com. That should be in the description as well.
And if you want to contact me privately on anything, like I said, I'm on Facebook.
I will always forward it.
Walk Memory Lane. Or my emails. Becky can give you my emails if you want to contact her.
I'll pass it on to him and he can have it. So Spirit Junkie, the cookie jar, big cookies basket started at 150. They have a slip on BS. Oh yes, about the exhibit. Yeah. Thank you, Junkie. It was fun to go and do, but it was hot.
See,
can you please show?
Pretty color.
Did I miss another question about?
You really see the heat sensitivity marbling effect in this. This is one of my colors.
Oh yeah, does the handle move? It rotates, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, not too much back and forth.
Fenton was also one of the ones there in the 1940s to recreate glass handles because they didn't like having to use the wicker handle from the 1920s.
It moves. They're supposed to be able to come on and off for packaging, but sometimes they're brittle. The older ones are brittle.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise playing too much with, especially if it's an older handle. If you know the right people, there are some people that makes the new handles.
That is one of the.
It's that one.
We know somebody who makes them in the Fenton community. So if we have baskets and stuff that need replacements, we usually get them, but we try not to mess with them too much. It would probably just be packed.
You need to soak it on and off. So you would soak that one off, and then you just dip those ends in water before you put it back.
Yep. And to me, I'm like, that's like caning a chair, and I don't think there's a lot of people who know about that either. Something my mom used to do when I was a kid. So So I think we're good unless anybody needed any more information on the red basket. Otherwise, thank you, John, for hanging out with us.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Vanna, for all your glass showing and moving around for us over there, Barb. I appreciate it. And thanks, everybody, for hanging out and all the great questions. So, yeah, this was a way to care. Yes. So is there a way to care for the handle so that it stays so it doesn't get brittle?
No.
Okay.
I mean, okay, if you were really going to treat it like a fine piano, you could keep little bowls of water around your glass collection.
Put it in a humidor.
Exactly, to keep it in, a nice humid environment.
Basically, okay, got it.
you know, my rule of thumb is if I've got one of the original handles,
Mhm.
I don't mess with it. If I have to ship one, I will ship the basket individually with plenty of bubble inside and
Yeah.
outside the handle, double boxed, don't breathe on.
Yeah.
I'm also a basket.
I mean,
so.
it's something that could fit in the cubic box pretty
Oh, yeah.
well. It's not too tall. All right, I think we got it to Spirit Junkie for 150. Thank you everyone for all of that. I missed it and it scrolled up and Paula caught it. Thank you, Miss Paula, for keeping on top of all that for us tonight. So, okay, I think we got all the things now. So
And the stuff?
all the stuffs, all the things, and all the ways. So, all right, thanks for joining us,
Take care.
and we'll see
I'll
you
catch you
soon,
next
guys.
time I'm in the area.
All right, thanks, John. Thanks, Barb. Oh, push the right button.